Hello there and welcome to Just About Earth, where we explore the world in the most curious and soothing way possible. As you settle in, we're about to uncover a story that many might overlook, yet it speaks to the resilience of human ingenuity. Today, we're diving into a fascinating location, an underground city that stands as a testament to survival against the odds. Imagine a place that hides beneath the surface of the Earth, designed not just to withstand time, but to survive some of the harshest conditions nature could throw at it. That place is Nushabad. Nushabad is located in the heart of the Iranian desert, a place where the sun's harsh rays bake the land relentlessly, and where the winds sweep across the barren earth with no mercy. But beneath this unforgiving surface lies an entirely different world, one that humans have created, designed with the specific purpose of surviving times when the surface world was no longer safe. It's a city that seems almost forgotten, existing out of sight, yet it has withstood centuries of history that would have otherwise swallowed lesser designs. This underground city, carved deep into the earth, was not just a refuge. It was a sanctuary, built with the foresight of those who knew that when disaster strikes, the only way forward is down. As we begin to explore Nushabad, imagine what it might have been like to live in a world where safety was no longer guaranteed above ground. It's easy to forget that many parts of the world have at various times faced conditions so dire that life on the surface was unsustainable. For those living in such times, the underground was not a last resort. It was the first line of defense. The city of Nushabad was designed precisely for such scenarios, to provide shelter, survival, and the possibility of thriving when all else fails. Built during a time when invasions, natural disasters, and extreme temperatures were everyday threats, Nushabad was a marvel of practical engineering, a true underground fortress that continues to stand, albeit mostly forgotten, beneath the earth. What is it about a place like Nushabad that makes it so compelling? Maybe it's the thought of what it takes to build a world beneath the surface, how engineers and architects with limited resources could design something so complex and enduring. Or maybe it's the mystery of a city that once offered protection from everything the world above could throw at it. How did they manage to make this underground city not just a temporary hideaway, but a place where life could continue for generations? Now, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to live beneath the earth? In our modern world, where cities are built to soar into the skies, and the earth is more of a place we walk upon than live within, it's hard to imagine a world where survival depended on a city buried deep beneath the surface. Yet, for those who once sought refuge in such places, it was not just a choice, it was a necessity. If this exploration of Nushabad intrigues you, I'd be grateful if you could like the video and perhaps subscribe. It helps this quiet corner of science and history grow, allowing more people to learn about the hidden wonders of our world. But let's not get too caught up in the present for now. Let's dive into the story of Nushabad as it exists today and as it once was. An underground city built not just to survive but to endure. As we journey deeper into Nushabad's past, it's important to remember that this underground city didn't just happen by chance. Nushabad's existence was the product of careful planning, foresight, and perhaps a little bit of necessity. For centuries, humans have faced the challenges of living in regions where the elements could prove deadly. The desert, for example, with its scorching temperatures during the day and freezing cold at night, is an inhospitable environment for most life forms. But Nushabad was built to not only survive in such an environment but to thrive in it. It wasn't just an emergency shelter. It was a home, a place where people could live, work, and survive while the world above them struggled with forces they could not control. The real beauty of Nushabad lies in its design. To understand its true brilliance, we must first take a moment to appreciate how cities are typically built. Most cities, especially those of the modern world, are designed with human needs at the forefront. Roads, homes, shops, and workplaces are scattered across the land, with little concern for what lies beneath. Nushabad, however, was created with the Earth itself as both a shield and a foundation. Its tunnels and rooms were carefully carved out, creating a complex labyrinth that provided shelter from the harsh climate, while its deep position underground protected its inhabitants from enemy forces. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about living in a space that was entirely different from the one above. The tunnels were designed to accommodate every need of daily life, from places to sleep, to areas for storage, to rooms where people could cook and socialize. Despite being buried deep underground, the city wasn't sealed off from the world entirely. The key to Nushabad's survival lay in the brilliant ventilation system that kept the air flowing and fresh. Without it, the city would have been uninhabitable. The air vents were strategically placed to ensure that oxygen could circulate freely throughout the tunnels, allowing the people living below to breathe easily and continue their lives uninterrupted. The ventilation system wasn't just a luxury, it was a lifeline, ensuring that the inhabitants could remain healthy and active while living beneath the earth. While the people of Nushabad may have been isolated in the underground world they had created, their city was never just about protection from the elements or invaders. It was about creating a space where people could continue their lives with as much normalcy as possible. Nushabad wasn't built as a temporary solution. It was meant to be a place where people could thrive and pass down their knowledge, culture and traditions for generations. It was a home for those who lived in it, not just a bunker to shelter from the world above. As you think about this hidden world beneath the earth, it becomes clear that Nushabad was not just an extraordinary architectural feat. It was a product of human resilience, creativity, and foresight. It was a place built with the understanding that when the world above grows uncertain, we must look for refuge below. This underground city is a testament to the lengths humans will go to survive, to preserve life, and to protect the future. The more you learn about Nushabad, the more it becomes clear that there's more to this underground world than just stone walls and tunnels. It is a place that tells the story of human survival at its most basic level, a city that speaks to our ability to adapt, to build, and to endure. From its ventilation systems to its intricate layout, everything in Nushabad was designed with survival in mind, and as we continue to explore its tunnels, we'll uncover more of the secrets that made this underground city a place where life could go on, even when everything above seemed to be falling apart. This city, tucked away beneath the earth, still holds many lessons for us today. As we move forward, let's take a closer look at the intricate architecture that made this underground world not just possible, but sustainable. It's easy to see why Nushabad has captured the imagination of those who study ancient civilizations and human survival. And as we continue this journey, we'll uncover more of what makes Nushabad such a fascinating place, one that has withstood the test of time, waiting patiently beneath the surface for us to uncover its secrets. The sun is unforgiving in the Iranian desert. It beats down relentlessly, casting the land in hues of gold and orange, stretching across a vast expanse where life seems to wither away. This is a place where survival is a challenge, where the earth's dry cracks serve as a constant reminder of the harshness of nature. It's a place where one would not expect to find human life, let alone a thriving community. Yet, in the midst of this seemingly desolate landscape, there lies something unexpected, something hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. Nushabad, the underground city, is tucked away beneath the unrelenting sands of the desert. At first glance, the desert seems to swallow everything up, giving no indication that anything lies beneath its surface. The shimmering mirages on the horizon seem to mock the idea of anything thriving in this barren expanse. And yet, this is where one of the most extraordinary human creations, designed for survival and secrecy, was born. It's a city that exists not in the open but buried, built to escape the intense heat of the desert above and to survive the chaos of invasions and attacks that once threatened the region. It is easy to imagine the contrast between the world above and the world below. The desert's dry heat rises from the ground like an invisible furnace, but just a few feet beneath the surface, an entirely different reality exists. The underground city was crafted with one clear purpose: to survive. But survival, as the people of Nushabad understood, is more than just about shelter. It's about designing a space that can withstand everything that the world above could throw at it. The city was designed as an intricate system of tunnels, rooms and passages, all carved deep into the earth. To the unknowing eye, it may seem like nothing more than a forgotten mirage, a fading memory of the past. But within its walls lies a testament to the ingenuity of a people who knew the value of preparation, of looking beyond the immediate, and of ensuring that they could endure long after the world above was no longer safe. Nushabad wasn't just built to be a temporary refuge, it was meant to be a home. To understand this, we must first consider the surrounding environment. The desert, with its crushing heat during the day and its frigid cold at night. This extreme contrast in temperature makes life on the surface nearly impossible to sustain for long. Even for those who tried, the desert's harshness would eventually push them to the brink. But the creators of Nushabad saw an opportunity. Beneath the surface, away from the scorching heat and cold, there was a way to carve out a different kind of existence. A place where life could go on as normal, protected from the elements and from those who sought to destroy it. To see how remarkable Nushabad truly is, we need to take a step back and look at the mindset of the people who lived in this underground city. They didn't just design a shelter, they designed an entire system, an ecosystem, a world deep below the surface. The goal wasn't simply to survive for a few months or a year, it was to ensure that life could continue indefinitely, that families could live, work, and thrive without the need for constant fear of the elements or invaders. They understood the importance of creating something that could last, something that would keep them safe from threats both natural and man-made. As we move through Nushabad, we begin to appreciate the incredible foresight behind the design of this underground world. The city's ventilation system was nothing short of genius. It allowed for fresh air to flow throughout the tunnels and rooms, ensuring that its inhabitants could breathe without risk of suffocation. This was a city built to breathe, to live, to function. The air, though underground, was never stale or suffocating. Instead, it was carefully managed, circulated through shafts and vents that allowed for a flow of oxygen in an otherwise sealed-off world. But the ingenuity of Nushabad didn't stop with just air. The city was equipped with features that ensured a sustainable lifestyle. Water, a precious resource in the desert, was carefully managed. The residents of Nushabad relied on wells and storage systems to ensure that they had access to fresh water, even in the driest months. These systems were designed with an understanding of the desert's erratic climate, its periods of drought, and its occasional flash floods. Water was not something to be taken for granted. It was precious, and every drop was accounted for. The underground city's design also took into consideration the need for light. Despite being buried deep beneath the earth, Nushabad was far from dark. The city was ingeniously constructed with chambers that allowed for natural light to penetrate the tunnels. This was achieved through a system of carefully positioned shafts that allowed sunlight to filter through the earth, creating pools of light that illuminated the spaces within. At night, torches and lanterns would provide the necessary glow to keep the city alive. But during the day, the natural light from above gave the people of Nushabad a sense of the world outside, even when they were far from it. But even more remarkable than the architectural feats of Nushabad is the purpose behind it. This was not a city built by accident or necessity alone. It was a city built with intention. The people who constructed it knew that their survival depended on more than just physical shelter. It depended on creating a space that could sustain human life for generations. They knew that to truly survive, they needed more than just walls and tunnels. They needed systems that would keep them healthy, connected, and thriving. The underground city was not just a place to hide. It was a place to live. In many ways, it was a mirror of the world above. A city with homes, communal spaces, storage areas, and even places for worship. It was a sanctuary where life could continue, where children could grow up, where people could work, rest, and build a future, even in the harshest conditions. It was a city that, for all its isolation, was built with the understanding that survival is about more than just getting by. It's about creating a way of life that can endure, no matter what the world throws at you. This underground city is far from just a relic of the past. It is a testament to human creativity and the lengths to which people will go to survive. But more than that, it's a reminder of what we can accomplish when we think beyond the immediate, when we plan for the future, and when we design with survival in mind. Nushabad is not just a place. It's a story of resilience, ingenuity, and the unyielding desire to survive, no matter the odds. As we continue to explore Nushabad, we'll uncover more about how this extraordinary city came to be and why it remains one of the most fascinating examples of human survival and design. But for now, let us remember that beneath the desert's mirage of emptiness lies a world that has survived the test of time and perhaps, in some ways, is still with us today, waiting to share its secrets with those who are curious enough to look. In the heart of the Iranian desert, where the landscape is defined by shifting sands and endless horizons, lies a world that remains largely unknown to many. To those who cross the vast dunes, the desert seems to stretch out forever, an impenetrable expanse where the sun's heat is a constant companion. Yet beneath this dry, barren surface, an entirely different reality exists, a hidden world that defies the harsh conditions above. This is the world of Nushabad, a forgotten underground city that once served as a sanctuary, carved deep into the earth by those who understood that survival in such an unforgiving environment required thinking beyond the surface. The Iranian desert, known for its extreme temperatures and arid conditions, has always posed a challenge to human existence. Yet, through the ingenuity of its builders, Nushabad emerged as a hidden kingdom beneath the sands, offering shelter, protection, and a way of life that was impervious to the relentless desert sun. It was a place that existed not above ground, where nature's wrath could strip away the possibility of life, but below it, where people could live, breathe, and thrive in a self-contained world far from the scorching surface. The concept of underground cities is not a new one, but the manner in which Nushabad was constructed reveals a unique and sophisticated approach to survival. The builders of Nushabad were not merely seeking to escape the desert heat. They were designing a long-term solution to human habitation in a hostile environment, and to do so, they looked beneath their feet. For those who knew how to dig, the desert's harsh exterior could be the perfect cover for a world below. With careful planning and skill, the people of Nushabad carved out an intricate network of tunnels and chambers, each one designed to meet the specific needs of daily life while keeping their inhabitants safe from the dangers above. While many may think of underground structures as temporary shelters or emergency hideaways, Nushabad was designed to be a sustainable city. Its builders didn't simply dig holes in the earth for shelter, they crafted a fully functional city, one that could support an entire community for an extended period. The underground chambers were large enough to accommodate families, markets, storage, and even places of worship. It was a space where the essentials of life, food, water, air, and light, could be sustained, all while being hidden from those who might wish to harm or invade. The idea of living beneath the surface, away from the dangers that the desert posed, must have been an attractive one for those who called this place home. In a region where external threats were constant and the climate itself was a powerful adversary, it's easy to see why people sought refuge in the earth itself. But the ingenuity of Nushabad wasn't just in its ability to provide shelter, it was in how it kept life going despite the unforgiving conditions outside. As we venture deeper into the story of Nushabad, it becomes clear that this underground city was more than just a network of tunnels and rooms. It was a masterclass in survival. To live in a place like Nushabad the people had to think not only about what they needed for today, but what they would need for tomorrow. The underground world wasn't just about surviving a few days, weeks, or even months. It was about creating a sustainable environment that could support life over the long term, even in the face of an ever-changing world above. Every aspect of Nushabad's design, its air circulation, water storage, and use of natural light was crafted with this goal in mind. The ventilation system alone is a testament to the level of thought and engineering that went into Nushabad's creation. In any underground space, maintaining a steady flow of fresh air is essential for survival, and the builders of Nushabad understood this well. They devised a system of ventilation shafts that allowed fresh air to circulate through the underground chambers, ensuring that the city's inhabitants could breathe without risk of suffocation. These shafts were placed strategically to maximize airflow, while also keeping the city cool in the intense heat of the desert. The system was so effective that even in the depths of the underground tunnels, the air remained fresh, breathable and conducive to life. Equally important to the survival of Nushabad's inhabitants was the provision of water. In a desert environment, where rainfall is sparse and sources of fresh water are limited, finding a reliable water supply was crucial. The builders of Nushabad didn't simply rely on the occasional rainstorm or distant river. They constructed sophisticated water storage systems that would allow them to capture and store water for long periods. Wells were dug deep into the earth, tapping into groundwater sources that could be accessed even in times of drought. These wells were connected to the city's complex network of tunnels, providing a consistent supply of water for its residents. It was a practical and sustainable solution to one of the most pressing challenges of living in the desert. But even more fascinating than the technical marvels of Nushabad is the way in which this underground city mirrored the world above in its design. The tunnels and chambers of Nushabad were not simply places to hide. They were designed to support a full, functioning community. The city had spaces for cooking, for gathering, for sleeping, and for worship. It was a place where people could live out their lives just as they would in any other city, but with the added protection of being hidden away from the dangers that loomed outside. In a way, Nushabad represented a parallel world, one that was isolated from the chaos above but still connected to the same human needs and desires. One of the most intriguing aspects of Nushabad is the way it was built to cater to the human psyche. Living underground for extended periods can have significant effects on one's mental and emotional well-being. The lack of natural light, the isolation from the outside world, and the confinement of space could all contribute to feelings of claustrophobia and anxiety. Yet, the builders of Nushabad anticipated these challenges and designed the city with the psychological well-being of its inhabitants in mind. The placement of ventilation shafts allowed for natural light to filter into the underground chambers, creating pockets of light that broke up the darkness and gave a sense of connection to the world above. The city's design also included spaces for socializing and community gatherings, providing opportunities for people to interact and maintain a sense of normalcy, even in the midst of their isolation. In many ways, Nushabad was more than just a city. It was a reflection of the human spirit's ability to adapt, to survive, and to create new worlds in the face of adversity. The people who built and lived in Nushabad understood the importance of both physical and psychological survival, and they crafted a city that could support them on every level. The result is a hidden kingdom beneath the sand, one that has survived the test of time and continues to stand as a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. The more we explore Nushabad, the more we begin to appreciate just how remarkable this underground city truly is. It is a place that has remained hidden beneath the desert sands for centuries, yet its story is far from over. In many ways, the city of Nushabad continues to serve as a reminder of the lengths to which humans will go to ensure their survival. It is a testament to the ingenuity of its builders, to the resilience of its inhabitants, and to the enduring power of human creativity. As we continue our journey through the hidden kingdoms beneath the sand, we'll uncover more about the ways in which Nushabad was designed to keep its people safe, healthy, and connected to the world. and we'll begin to see just how much the underground city has to teach us about surviving in a world that is often unpredictable, unforgiving, and beyond our control. Nushabad, unlike most cities that spring up on fertile land or along rivers, was born out of necessity, shaped by the harsh realities of its environment. The people who built it weren't focused on aesthetics, luxury, or even expansion. They were focused on one thing: survival. Nestled deep beneath the unforgiving desert landscape, Nushabad was designed to endure, to withstand not only the brutal natural forces above, but also the dangers posed by invaders and the uncertainty of a world in turmoil. It was a city built with resilience at its core, a fortress beneath the earth that would protect its inhabitants for as long as necessary. The very location of Nushabad speaks volumes about its design philosophy. In the Iranian desert, where temperatures soar above 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, during the day, and plummet to near freezing at night, living on the surface is nothing short of a gamble. But down beneath the Earth's surface, the temperature remains stable and moderate, providing a natural insulation from the extremes of the desert climate. It's this environment, hidden away in the cool depths, that allowed Nushabad to thrive while the world above was subject to the whims of nature. From the moment one enters Nushabad, it's clear that this is no ordinary underground dwelling. The city's design is meticulously planned, every tunnel, every chamber, and every passage serving a specific purpose. The people of Nushabad knew that their survival depended on having a space that could support every facet of their daily lives, from the basic need for shelter to the more complex requirements of food, water, air, and community. This was not a temporary refuge, but a fully functioning underground world, with every detail considered in order to ensure that its inhabitants could live in safety and comfort. At the heart of Nushabad's design is its intricate network of tunnels. These passages form the backbone of the city, winding and connecting various chambers and rooms that make up the underground complex. The tunnels are far more than mere corridors. They were engineered to provide shelter, storage, and living spaces, all while maintaining optimal conditions for the people who would reside in them. The tunnels are wide enough to allow for easy movement, yet narrow enough to create a sense of security and containment. They are deliberately winding, ensuring that any potential invader would be slowed down, lost in the labyrinth of passageways, unable to find their way through the city. The tunnels aren't just about movement, though. They were also constructed with the understanding that they would need to be secure. The residents of Nushabad knew that, in times of conflict or danger, they would have to defend their city from invaders, so the tunnels were designed with defensive features in mind. Certain areas are easily sealed off with heavy doors or barriers, cutting off access to parts of the city and making it difficult for enemies to advance. The design ensures that the city could be locked down at a moment's notice, allowing its inhabitants to take shelter and stay safe until the threat passed. One of the most impressive aspects of Nushabad's design is its ventilation system. In any underground city, ensuring that the air remains fresh is a critical consideration. The people of Nushabad understood that without a steady flow of clean, breathable air, their city would become uninhabitable. So they devised a system of ventilation shafts and tunnels that allowed fresh air to circulate throughout the underground chambers. These shafts were strategically placed to ensure that every room, every passage, received a steady supply of oxygen, even in the deepest parts of the city. This system not only kept the air fresh, but also helped to regulate the temperature, maintaining a comfortable environment even in the most extreme conditions. Equally important to survival in Nushabad was the provision of water. In a desert environment, water is a rare and precious resource, and securing a reliable supply was paramount. The people of Nushabad didn't have the luxury of relying on surface water sources. They had to design their own systems to capture and store water for long-term use. To achieve this, they dug wells deep into the earth, tapping into the groundwater that lay far below the surface. These wells were connected to a network of storage chambers that allowed the city's inhabitants to keep a steady supply of water on hand. even during periods of drought or scarcity. The water was stored in underground reservoirs, keeping it cool and free from contamination. In addition to the basic needs of air and water, the people of Nushabad also understood the importance of light. In an underground city where the sun's rays never reach, artificial lighting is essential for daily life. But the people of Nushabad were able to use natural light to their advantage, incorporating clever designs to ensure that some sunlight could penetrate the depths of the city. By carefully positioning ventilation shafts and openings in the tunnel walls, they allowed light to filter down into the underground chambers during the day. This not only provided much-needed illumination, but also helped to create a sense of connection to the world above, even when living far below it. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Nushabad's design is the thought that went into its sustainability. The city wasn't just built to survive in the short term, it was built to endure for generations. The people of Nushabad knew that in order to maintain their way of life underground, they would need to develop systems that could be maintained over time. They relied on renewable resources such as wind and water to power their city's systems, and they devised methods for preserving food and other resources for long-term use. In a place where access to the outside world was limited, self-sufficiency was essential. Every aspect of the city, from its food storage to its water management, was designed with this in mind. Living underground comes with its own set of challenges, and the people of Nushabad were keenly aware of the psychological effects that isolation and confinement could have on their community. In a space as enclosed as Nushabad, where light is limited and the outside world is a distant memory, maintaining a sense of normalcy and community was essential for the well-being of its inhabitants. To address this, the builders of Nushabad incorporated communal spaces into the city's design. These spaces allowed the residents to gather, interact, and maintain a sense of connection with each other. Whether it was for shared meals, social gatherings, or religious ceremonies, these spaces provided the social and psychological relief that was needed to counterbalance the isolation of underground life. The design of Nushabad, with its labyrinthian tunnels, advanced ventilation systems, and ingenious use of resources, speaks to the deep understanding its builders had of survival. This was not a city thrown together in haste, but a carefully crafted environment built to withstand the trials of time and nature. It was a place where life could go on, even when the world above had grown too dangerous or inhospitable. And while Nushabad may seem like a relic of the past, it serves as a powerful reminder of the human ability to adapt, to innovate, and to create spaces where survival is not just possible, but sustainable. As we delve deeper into the history and design of Nushabad, it becomes clear that this underground city was a marvel of its time. It was a city that was built not just to survive, but to endure. A place where the basic human needs for air, water, light, and community were met, even in the harshest of environments. It is a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the people who constructed it. A city that stands as a lasting symbol of human perseverance, even in the most unforgiving of places. Nushabad, though hidden beneath the desert's harsh surface, is far from a simple shelter or makeshift refuge. The underground city is a marvel of design, a complex and sophisticated network of tunnels, chambers and passages, each with a specific purpose. The architecture and engineering that went into creating Nushabad reflect the ingenuity and foresight of the people who built it. This was not just a city to provide temporary shelter, it was a complete underground world meticulously planned and built to support life, community, and survival. To truly understand Nushabad, we must delve into its anatomy, exploring its layout and the intricate systems that allowed it to function as a self-sustaining underground haven. At first glance, one might assume that Nushabad is simply a series of caves or rudimentary tunnels dug into the earth. But when we examine its layout, it becomes clear that this city was built with purpose and precision. The network of tunnels that comprises Nushabad is not random or haphazard. Rather, it is a well-planned system designed to facilitate the movement of people, air and resources, while also ensuring the safety and security of its inhabitants. The tunnels wind through the earth like veins in a body, connecting various sections of the city and providing access to the chambers that make up its core. One of the most striking features of Nushabad's anatomy is its multi-layered design. The city was built with multiple levels, each serving a different function. The deepest layers were used for the most critical and secure areas, places where people could seek shelter during periods of danger, such as invasions or extreme weather conditions. These lower levels were also the coolest, offering a refuge from the scorching desert heat above. The upper levels of the city, on the other hand, were designed for more everyday activities such as living, cooking and socializing. These areas were still underground but close to the surface, allowing for better access to natural light and ventilation. The levels of Nushabad were connected by a series of narrow stairways and ladders, which allowed people to move between the different parts of the city with relative ease. The stairways were intentionally steep and narrow, designed to slow down any potential intruders and create a sense of security for the inhabitants. The design of the city's pathways ensured that any attack or invasion would be met with significant resistance, as the labyrinthine tunnels would make it difficult for enemies to navigate the space quickly. The chambers within Nushabad, while connected by the tunnels, were distinctly separated into different functional areas. Living spaces were carved out of the rock, providing room for families to live and sleep. These rooms were not large by modern standards, but they were sufficient for the needs of the people who lived there. They were simple yet effective, designed to keep the inhabitants safe and comfortable in an otherwise hostile environment. These chambers, though small, were thoughtfully constructed with the understanding that the people of Nushabad would need not only shelter but a sense of community. The rooms were organised in clusters, allowing families to live in close proximity to one another and share communal spaces for meals, conversation, and social interaction. Beyond the living spaces, Nushabad also featured areas designated for food storage and preparation. In an underground city where access to fresh food could be limited, these spaces were crucial for ensuring that the city's inhabitants could sustain themselves over long periods of time. The storage chambers were designed to keep food cool and safe, preserving it for use during times of scarcity. These areas were equipped with storage bins and shelves, making it easy to keep provisions organised and accessible. The people of Nushabad relied on a combination of farming, hunting and trade to acquire the food they needed, and the city's design reflected this dependence on self-sufficiency. Water, as we've seen, was another essential resource in Nushabad, and its storage was just as carefully considered. The underground city was equipped with a series of wells and reservoirs, each one strategically placed to ensure that fresh water could be accessed at any time. The wells were dug deep into the earth, tapping into groundwater sources that would remain available even during droughts. The water storage chambers were located near the heart of the city, ensuring that every section of Nushabad had easy access to this vital resource. Water was collected and stored in large vats, which were regularly replenished from the wells. In times of extreme heat, the cool underground water provided relief and sustenance for the city's inhabitants. The ventilation system, which played such an important role in maintaining a livable environment in Nushabad, was also carefully integrated into the city's design. The ventilation shafts, which allowed fresh air to circulate through the city's tunnels and chambers, were positioned in such a way that they could capture and channel the cool, clean air from the surface down into the underground city. These shafts were connected to a series of channels that led to different areas of Nushabad, ensuring that no part of the city would become stifling or stagnant. The air, though trapped underground, was constantly renewed, keeping the city's inhabitants healthy and comfortable. The strategic use of light was another important aspect of Nushabad's anatomy. Natural light, though limited underground, was still incorporated into the design of the city. The builders of Nushabad knew that living in total darkness could have negative effects on the mental and emotional well-being of its inhabitants, so they took steps to ensure that sunlight could penetrate the depths of the city. Ventilation shafts were not only used for air circulation, but also for allowing light to filter into the underground chambers. These shafts were positioned in such a way that they would catch the light during the day and channel it down into the city, creating bright patches of light in the otherwise dim environment. At night, when natural light was no longer available, the inhabitants relied on torches and lamps to illuminate their way. The design of Nushabad was not just about function. It was about creating a space where life could flourish even in the harshest conditions. It was a city built to sustain its inhabitants, to protect them, and to keep them safe from the dangers above. Every element of the city's anatomy, its tunnels, chambers, ventilation systems, and storage areas, was designed with one goal in mind: survival. But survival, as the people of Nushabad knew, was not simply about enduring the hardships of life. It was about creating a community that could live and thrive together, even in the most extreme circumstances. The underground city's anatomy reveals much about the priorities and values of the people who built it. They understood that survival wasn't just about building walls and hiding from the world. It was about creating a self-sustaining system that could support life for the long term. They knew that survival required not only protection from the elements and invaders, but also the preservation of basic human needs: food, water, air, and community. Nushabad was a place where those needs were met, where life could continue even when the world above had become too dangerous to live in. As we continue to explore Nushabad, we begin to see that the city's design is not just a technical achievement, it is a reflection of the human spirit. It speaks to our ability to adapt, to create, and to endure. In the heart of the desert, beneath the harsh sun and unforgiving landscape, Nushabad stands as a testament to what can be accomplished when we come together to face the challenges of survival. And it's this ingenuity, this drive to survive, that makes Nushabad so much more than just an underground city. It is a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unyielding determination of the human spirit. Nushabad, in its silent subterranean existence, stands as a living relic from an era that has long passed, yet its legacy is far from forgotten. As we explore its foundations, we begin to understand that this underground city was not only a response to the immediate threats of war and the environment, but also a long-term solution, one that could endure the shifting tides of time. The people who built Nushabad didn't just create a space to survive in the present, they constructed a sanctuary designed to withstand the unknown future. Time was not only a concern for them, it was woven into the very fabric of the city, shaping its construction and its purpose. In the harsh environment of the Iranian desert, where the cyclical nature of droughts and storms played a constant role in the survival of the region's inhabitants, the need for stability and security could not have been clearer. The desert was unpredictable, a place where the harshest conditions could arrive with little warning. For the people of Nushabad, the concept of time, its passage, and its unpredictable swings between extremes shaped how they approached their very survival. But they did not look at time as something fleeting and uncontrollable. Instead, they took a different approach, to build a city that could not only survive the present but persist across the ages. The foundations of Nushabad were laid with an understanding of temporal resilience. The city was not just a place to take refuge from immediate danger. It was built to protect life in the long run, a safe haven for future generations. The builders' vision was forward-looking. They designed the underground city with the expectation that it would stand the test of time, that it would endure long after they were gone. The layers of stone and earth that now form the city are more than just physical structures. They represent the passage of time itself. These layers are the city's history, each layer adding a chapter to the story of survival. To understand how the city was built to withstand the challenges of time, we need to look at the very materials that were used to construct it. The builders of Nushabad chose the earth beneath them, the very ground they sought to protect themselves from, as the foundation for their sanctuary. The soft, porous nature of the desert soil provided both a challenge and an advantage. While the desert sands above could easily erode and shift, the layers of earth that lay beneath were stable enough to support the weight of the city. By carving out the tunnels and chambers deep within this earth, the builders of Nushabad created a city that could endure centuries of shifting conditions. The act of digging into the earth itself is, in a way, an act of defiance against the forces of time. In a world where so much is fleeting and impermanent, Nushabad's underground construction offered stability, a place where time seemed to stand still, where the present and future could coexist. The underground city wasn't just a temporary refuge, but a structure meant to withstand generations, perhaps even centuries of use. This long-term thinking speaks to the resilience of the people who built it, and to their understanding that true survival isn't just about escaping danger in the moment, it's about creating a foundation that can carry you through the future, no matter what might come. But how did these builders, with no advanced technology or modern machinery, manage to carve out such an intricate and vast city beneath the earth? The answer lies in both the materials they used and the innovative techniques they employed. The builders relied on simple yet effective tools, using manual labour and handcrafted techniques to dig and shape the tunnels. Their knowledge of the earth, passed down through generations, allowed them to create a city that was both practical and sustainable. They understood how to work with the land, how to use its natural properties to their advantage. The creation of Nushabad was not just a feat of engineering, it was a reflection of the builders' deep connection to the land and their understanding of its rhythms. In addition to its physical construction, the city's design also incorporated elements that would allow it to adapt over time. The tunnels, while initially designed for practical use, were flexible enough to accommodate future growth and changes. The layout of the city was planned to ensure that, even as the needs of its inhabitants evolved, the infrastructure could support these changes. The chambers were not just built for present use. They were built with foresight, designed to be repurposed or expanded as required. The builder's approach was one of anticipation, understanding that while the present might be uncertain, the future required flexibility and adaptability. The city's sanctuary-like qualities are further amplified when we consider the importance of light and air. While many underground cities are damp and suffocating, Nushabad was intentionally designed to breathe. Its ventilation shafts were not just functional, they were an essential part of the city's relationship with time. These shafts allowed the city to stay connected to the world above, not just by letting in air, but by letting in light. In a city built deep beneath the earth, light becomes more than just a necessity. It becomes a symbol of connection to the outside world, of life beyond the tunnels. And with that connection to the outside world, time itself seems less oppressive. The shafts ensured that the passage of time within Nushabad could be measured, not in isolation, but in the light that filtered in, marking the rhythm of the day, the changing of seasons. It is in these seemingly small details, the ventilation, the strategic use of space, the understanding of materials, that the true foresight of Nushabad's design becomes clear. The city was not just a refuge for its time, but a monument to the idea that survival is not simply about existing in the present. It is about ensuring that life can continue long into the future, no matter what changes the world may face. Each aspect of Nushabad, from its tunnels to its chambers, from its ventilation shafts to its wells, was designed with the future in mind. The city was meant to endure, to be passed down through generations as a place where people could continue to live, work, and grow. The people who built Nushabad were not merely concerned with their own survival. They were thinking about their children, their grandchildren, and the generations yet to come. This long-term thinking, this ability to look beyond the immediate moment and consider the future, is what sets Nushabad apart from so many other ancient constructions. It is a city that was designed not just to survive today, but to ensure that tomorrow would be possible. It is a sanctuary built to withstand the wear and tear of time, a place where life could continue long after the world above had changed. In this sense, Nushabad is more than just an underground city. It is a timeless sanctuary, a place where the passage of time itself was anticipated, embraced, and respected. The builders of Nushabad understood that survival wasn't just about overcoming the challenges of the present. It was about creating a space where life could continue through the ages, a place that could evolve and adapt as needed. And in doing so, they created a legacy that continues to endure, standing as a reminder of the incredible resilience and foresight of the people who built it. As we continue to explore Nushabad, we'll uncover even more layers of its design, each one telling a story of survival, adaptation, and a deep connection to the land. But for now, let us pause and reflect on the timeless nature of this city, a place built to survive the ages, a sanctuary where time moves not in fleeting moments, but in layers of permanence and endurance. In a world that exists deep beneath the earth, the most basic human need, air, takes on an extraordinary importance. In Nushabad, an underground city carved into the Iranian desert, the question of how to keep the air fresh and breathable was paramount. Living underground presents many challenges, not the least of which is ensuring a constant supply of oxygen in an environment that could quickly become stale or suffocating. Without the benefits of natural air circulation or the open skies, how could a city like Nushabad survive, let alone thrive? The answer lies in the ingenuity of the city's ventilation system, a carefully engineered network of air shafts, channels and passages that allowed fresh air to flow freely throughout the underground chambers. At first glance, it might seem as though air is something that can be taken for granted, something that simply exists in the world above. But in an enclosed subterranean environment, the air becomes a vital lifeline. Without proper ventilation, any underground city would quickly become uninhabitable. The air would stagnate, carbon dioxide would build up, and life would be unsustainable. Nushabad's builders understood this fundamental truth, and they crafted a system to ensure that the air in the city remained fresh, oxygenated, and free from the risks of suffocation. The system they designed wasn't just an afterthought, it was the very foundation of the city's ability to function. The builders knew that, in order to create a space where people could live, work and sleep for extended periods, they needed a reliable way to introduce fresh air from the outside and expel the stale air that would inevitably build up. To do this, they designed a network of ventilation shafts that connected the underground chambers to the surface world. These shafts were strategically placed throughout the city, ensuring that air could circulate to every part of the city, even to the deepest corners of the labyrinthine tunnels. But this wasn't simply a matter of drilling a few holes in the earth and calling it a day. The designers of Nushabad understood that air circulation was not only about the introduction of fresh air, but also about the removal of carbon dioxide and other harmful gases that could accumulate in an enclosed space. To address this, the ventilation system was designed with a balance in mind, ensuring that the air flowed in a continuous cycle, preventing the build-up of stale air in any part of the city. In essence, the ventilation system acted as the city's lungs, breathing in fresh air from above and expelling the old air, maintaining a healthy and breathable atmosphere. The design of the ventilation system was carefully planned to optimize airflow. The shafts were positioned in such a way that air would flow naturally through the tunnels, aided by the temperature differences between the underground chambers and the surface world. Hot air rises, and as the temperature underground remained relatively constant, the cooler air from the surface would naturally flow down into the tunnels, pushing the warmer air up and out. This simple principle of thermodynamics, the movement of air from high to low pressure, formed the backbone of Nushabad's ventilation system, allowing it to function efficiently without the need for any mechanical fans or pumps. In addition to this natural flow of air, the ventilation system in Nushabad also relied on the clever placement of air ducts and channels. These ducts were strategically incorporated into the city's design, ensuring that every chamber and passageway received a steady stream of fresh air. Even the deepest sections of the city, where natural light and ventilation were scarce, were connected to this system, allowing for a constant supply of oxygen even in the most remote parts of the city. The tunnels themselves were designed to allow for maximum airflow, with gentle curves and turns that prevented air from becoming trapped or stagnant. One of the most fascinating aspects of Nushabad's ventilation system is the way it was integrated into the overall design of the city. The air shafts were not simply added as an afterthought, but were an essential part of the city's overall structure. They were carefully planned and positioned to ensure that the city's inhabitants would always have access to fresh, breathable air. The placement of these shafts was also designed with defense in mind. By positioning the shafts in various locations throughout the city, the builders ensured that the air supply could be cut off if necessary, protecting the city from potential invaders who might attempt to block the air supply as a means of control. In a city like Nushabad, where isolation was a key part of its survival strategy, maintaining a consistent and fresh air supply was more than just a matter of comfort. It was a matter of life and death. Without the ventilation system, the inhabitants would have been forced to leave the safety of the city, exposing themselves to the dangers of the desert or potential attackers. The ventilation system allowed Nushabad to remain a self-sustaining sanctuary, one where life could go on even when the world above became too dangerous or inhospitable to endure. Yet the air in Nushabad wasn't just a commodity. It was a reflection of the city's ingenuity and the foresight of its builders. The system wasn't just about keeping people alive in the short term. It was about ensuring that the city could continue to support life for generations to come. The people of Nushabad understood that a sustainable future required more than just the protection of the body. It required the protection of the environment, the air that sustains us. By creating a system that could provide a constant supply of fresh air, they ensured that the city would be able to support future generations, even if the surface world remained unsafe or unreachable. The ingenuity of Nushabad's ventilation system extends beyond its practicality. It also highlights the ingenuity of the people who designed it. At a time when most cities were built to endure the elements above, the builders of Nushabad understood the need to create a city that could withstand the trials of both the natural world and human conflict. They were not just building a shelter, they were building a future, one where survival was guaranteed not just for a few months or years, but for generations. But it wasn't just the functionality of the ventilation system that made it so remarkable. It was the way it allowed the inhabitants of Nushabad to live in relative comfort, despite being buried beneath the earth. The air, cool and fresh, circulated throughout the city, providing the inhabitants with the same basic comfort that we often take for granted, the ability to breathe easily. In a world where the dangers of the desert and the threat of invasion loomed large, this seemingly small detail was a testament to the resilience of the people who built the city. They understood that survival isn't just about protection. It's about creating an environment where life can continue, where people can live and breathe and grow. As we continue to explore Nushabad, we begin to see that its survival was not just about its ability to shelter its inhabitants from the outside world. It was about its ability to sustain life in every sense of the word. The ventilation system, like the city itself, was a carefully constructed masterpiece that ensured the survival of its people. It's a reminder that in the face of adversity, it's not just the walls and tunnels that keep us safe. It's the air we breathe. And in Nushabad, that air was the very breath of life circulating through the city's veins, keeping its inhabitants alive and allowing them to survive, not just in the moment, but for the long term. In Nushabad, a city carved into the earth, darkness is not just a temporary absence of light, it's a constant companion. When you live underground, light becomes something far more precious and intentional than it is for those who dwell in the sunlit world above. While the surface world is bathed in the natural light of day, those living below must rely on more than just fire or artificial light to sustain their existence. Light in Nushabad wasn't merely for illumination, it was a crucial part of the city's design, ensuring not just survival, but a sense of life, warmth, and connection to the world above. The people who built this underground city understood the psychological and physiological importance of light, and they designed their world to ensure that it wasn't just something to endure, but something to thrive in. Living in a world without natural sunlight can be a disorienting and challenging experience. Humans, like most living beings, are deeply connected to the rhythms of the sun. The day and night cycle governs much of our biology, from our circadian rhythms to our moods and energy levels. Without light, time itself can become warped. Days can blend together, and without the bright, reassuring presence of sunlight, people may struggle to feel grounded in the passing of time. But the people of Nushabad, isolated in their underground city, had a solution to this. They didn't just build a refuge beneath the earth, they built a place where light was integrated into the very fabric of the city. This wasn't just about practicality, it was about ensuring that the psychological well-being of the inhabitants was preserved, even in the depths of the earth. The clever use of light in Nushabad can be traced to the city's ingenious ventilation shafts. These shafts, primarily designed to ensure airflow and fresh air circulation, also played a crucial role in bringing light into the subterranean world. By positioning these shafts at strategic locations, the builders of Nushabad allowed sunlight to filter into the underground chambers, creating pockets of light throughout the city. It wasn't a flood of light like the sun above, but rather soft beams that entered through the ventilation shafts, creating a play of light and shadow that shifted with the time of day. During the daylight hours, these shafts would channel the sun's rays deep into the tunnels, providing illumination in an otherwise dark world. This not only allowed the city to function, but it also helped the inhabitants feel a sense of connection to the natural world above, reminding them that time was still moving outside, even if they were sealed away beneath the earth. This use of light wasn't just about visibility, it was about the human need to experience the passage of time. Light has always been a measure for time, and in Nushabad, it acted as a subtle reminder of the rhythms of day and night. In a place where the night could feel endless, the ability to mark the passage of time through light was essential. As sunlight entered the ventilation shafts and spilled into the chambers, it provided the underground residents with the smallest but most powerful connection to the world outside. It was a link to the cycles of the earth, a reminder that they weren't entirely disconnected from the natural world. Even though they were buried deep beneath the surface, the light filtering through the tunnels was a steady companion, a symbol of life continuing despite the isolation. But natural light, while important, was never enough to sustain the city entirely. As night fell, or during periods when sunlight didn't reach the deeper corners of the city, the inhabitants of Nushabad had to rely on artificial means to illuminate their world. Unlike the surface, where the sky itself would provide a soft glow even in the darkest hours, Nushabad's darkness was complete. The tunnels, sealed off from the outside world, could become oppressive without light. So in addition to the shafts that brought natural light, the residents of Nushabad used lanterns, torches, and other means of artificial illumination to keep the underground world from descending into absolute darkness. These sources of light were vital, not just for visibility, but for the continued function of the city. Cooking, working, socializing. Every part of daily life in Nushabad depended on having access to light. In the deepest parts of the city, where natural light could never reach, carefully placed lanterns and firelight would allow residents to go about their tasks without fear of being engulfed in complete darkness. But more than just providing utility, these sources of light created warmth, atmosphere, and a sense of comfort. In an underground city where isolation could easily lead to psychological strain, light was a psychological anchor, keeping the residents of Nushabad connected to the reality of daily life, even when the surface world above seemed far away. Yet, despite the importance of artificial lighting, the builders of Nushabad were keenly aware that light must be controlled. Fire, though necessary for warmth and illumination, could also be a dangerous force. The risk of fire in an underground city, where ventilation and airflow were carefully controlled, was a constant concern. Thus, fire safety was an integral part of the city's design. The rooms and chambers were constructed to contain fire within specific areas, and the use of candles, lanterns, and other light sources was regulated to minimize the risks. This careful balancing of light and fire ensured that Nushabad remained safe and functional, without exposing its inhabitants to unnecessary danger. The role of light in Nushabad is also symbolic. Light is often associated with life, hope, and renewal, while darkness can evoke a sense of fear, uncertainty, and even death. In a city built underground, where the absence of natural light could easily lead to despair, light became a symbol of life's resilience. The builders of Nushabad, in their understanding of human nature, knew that light was as essential to the human spirit as it was to physical survival. It wasn't just about seeing the world, it was about seeing one's place in the world, even when that world was hidden beneath the earth. In this sense, light became not just a practical necessity, but a spiritual one. It was a way for the people of Nushabad to maintain a sense of connection to the natural world, to the passage of time, and to the enduring rhythms of life, even in the depths of the earth. As we reflect on the role of light in Nushabad, it becomes clear that the city was designed not just to provide physical shelter, but to nurture the psychological and emotional well-being of its inhabitants. The careful consideration of light, whether through natural shafts that filtered sunlight or the artificial illumination of lanterns and torches, was a testament to the builders' understanding of the human need for connection, warmth, and time. They created a space that wasn't just habitable, but livable. They understood that light is as much a part of survival as air and water, and they crafted a system that allowed both to coexist in perfect harmony. As we continue to explore Nushabad's hidden depths, we begin to understand that the city's ability to provide light, even in the darkest of times, speaks to its true brilliance. The use of light wasn't just an afterthought. It was a fundamental part of the city's design, a reflection of the people's understanding of what it meant to live, truly live, in an underground world. Nushabad wasn't just a city of survival, it was a city of life, and light was the pulse that kept its heart beating. Nushabad, the underground city carved deep into the earth, is full of hidden chambers, rooms that hold secrets not immediately visible to the casual observer. Beneath the surface, the city reveals a complexity that goes beyond the simple necessity of survival. The city's hidden rooms were not merely designed for shelter, they were designed to fulfill specific needs and serve purposes that the builders anticipated would be essential for long-term survival and stability. These chambers were far more than functional spaces. They were strategic, secretive, and often concealed from view, ensuring the safety and well-being of those who sought refuge within. As we continue to explore the layers of Nushabad, we uncover these hidden rooms, each one designed to cater to particular needs or act as a safeguard against potential threats. Some of these chambers are tucked away in the deepest parts of the city, while others are concealed behind false walls or hidden passageways. The very layout of Nushabad was designed to ensure that these rooms remained unseen, their locations known only to those who lived in the city and, perhaps, to a few trusted individuals who might have been tasked with maintaining the city's security. These rooms were integral to the city's ability to thrive in the harshest of circumstances, because in a place like Nushabad, secrecy wasn't just a matter of convenience, it was a matter of survival. One of the most fascinating aspects of these hidden rooms is the way they were built to be versatile, able to serve multiple functions depending on the situation. Some of these rooms were likely used for storage, keeping essential supplies, food, water, tools, safely tucked away from the eyes of anyone who might try to take advantage of the city's resources. These storage rooms were hidden within the city's complex network of tunnels, ensuring that the goods inside would be protected from potential invaders or the ravages of time. The location of these rooms was critical. Placed in areas where they could be easily accessed by the city's inhabitants, but difficult for outsiders to locate, they served as the backbone of the city's self-sufficiency. However, not all of Nushabad's hidden rooms were simply storage spaces. Some were designed as defensive strongholds, secret safe havens for the residents in times of crisis. In a city built to survive external threats, having a secure place to retreat to was a vital aspect of its design. These defensive rooms were often well hidden, situated behind false walls or concealed passageways, providing refuge for families or groups when danger struck. The design of these rooms reflects the city's understanding of the need for both physical protection and psychological comfort. In moments of danger or invasion, these spaces allowed the residents to remain hidden and safe, waiting for the danger to pass. The security of these rooms was ensured not only by their hidden nature, but also by their design, which would have been difficult for an invader to breach. The significance of these secret rooms in Nushabad extends beyond just physical protection. They were a reflection of the city's deeper understanding of the need for privacy, security, and control. These rooms allowed the residents to maintain a sense of order in a world that was often chaotic and unpredictable. They provided a space for people to gather in times of peace and for protection in times of war, helping to preserve the integrity of the community. In a city that was meant to be self-sustaining, the hidden rooms were a key component of the city's ability to adapt and survive through a wide range of situations. Beyond their defensive and practical functions, these rooms may have also served as a space for ritual or spiritual purposes. While we don't know exactly how the residents of Nushabad lived day to day, it's not difficult to imagine that in a community so deeply connected to the rhythms of the earth, rituals and ceremonies would have played an important role. Hidden chambers might have served as places for worship, meditation, or communal gatherings. These spaces, tucked away from the rest of the city, would have offered the privacy needed for the spiritual well-being of the people. The quiet, isolated nature of these rooms would have provided the perfect environment for reflection, prayer, and maintaining the spiritual health of the city's inhabitants. One of the most remarkable features of these hidden rooms is their design for isolation. In a city built underground, where every space is inherently isolated from the outside world, these rooms took isolation to another level. They were hidden in ways that allowed for complete seclusion, ensuring that residents could be kept completely safe from external threats or disruptions. The architectural design of these rooms was meant to create an environment where the inhabitants could retreat from the pressures of daily life or escape from danger without being detected. The walls of these rooms were often constructed with materials that would help keep them insulated from both the desert's heat and the sounds of the outside world, providing a space where privacy and security were guaranteed. The secrecy of these rooms is also a reminder of the lengths to which the people of Nushabad went to ensure their safety. They didn't just build a city to survive, they built a city with layers of protection, both physical and psychological. Every detail of Nushabad's design, from its ventilation shafts to its hidden chambers, was calculated to provide for the long-term survival of its inhabitants, even in the face of complete isolation or external threats. These rooms were not simply places to store supplies or hide from enemies, they were a testament to the foresight of the builders, who understood that survival required not only preparation, but the ability to adapt to the unknown future. The presence of these hidden rooms also speaks to the city's ability to maintain a sense of control over its environment. In a world where safety and security were constantly in question, the people of Nushabad created a city that could evolve to meet the needs of its inhabitants, whether in times of peace or peril. The hidden rooms weren't just about responding to immediate threats. They were about ensuring that the city could continue to function, to thrive, and to remain a place of refuge no matter what happened above. As we explore Nushabad and its many hidden chambers, we begin to see how these rooms were an integral part of the city's survival strategy. They were more than just physical spaces. They were a reflection of the city's adaptability, resilience, and foresight. These hidden rooms, tucked away in the deep recesses of the city, are more than just relics of the past. They are a testament to the human ability to create spaces that protect, preserve, and sustain life, even in the most extreme conditions. Nushabad's secrets, The hidden rooms reveal a deeper layer of the city's design, one that reflects both the practical and the psychological needs of the people who live there. And in these rooms, we find the essence of Nushabad itself, a place built to survive, to endure, and to remain hidden from the world above, a sanctuary for those who sought refuge from the forces of nature and the unpredictability of time. Life in Nushabad was not defined by merely existing beneath the earth. It was about creating a sense of normalcy, of maintaining a rhythm that mirrored the one people would experience on the surface. Despite the isolation, despite the lack of natural light and the confined space, those who lived in Nushabad managed to cultivate a daily existence that was grounded in routines, rituals, and communal activities. The city, though hidden from view, was a place where life could go on in much the same way it would on the surface, with the same human needs and desires for connection, sustenance, and meaning. The residents of Nushabad, though tucked away from the outside world, led lives that were filled with purpose, tradition, and a strong sense of community. To begin understanding the daily life of those living in Nushabad, we must first recognise the unique challenges they faced. Living underground, they were separated from the natural world, cut off from the day and night cycle and the changing of the seasons. The outside world, with its sunrises and sunsets, its seasonal rhythms, and its natural signals for activity, was a distant memory. The people of Nushabad, in order to maintain a sense of time, had to create their own markers for daily life. The rhythms of life in Nushabad were defined by human ingenuity, by the artificial imposition of time, rather than the natural cues that guided life on the surface. One of the most fundamental aspects of life in Nushabad was the need to establish routines that allowed for survival and productivity. In a place where resources were limited, where access to fresh air and water was carefully controlled, and where light could be scarce, establishing regular practices was crucial. The daily rituals of the people in Nushabad were shaped by the necessities of survival: cooking, cleaning, gathering water, and maintaining the city's systems. But they were also shaped by the desire to maintain a sense of normalcy, to continue living in a way that felt familiar and structured. In many ways, daily life in Nushabad would have been similar to that of any other community, albeit with a few notable differences. Just like any other society, people would wake up, have meals, work, and engage in social activities. But what made life in Nushabad unique was the environment in which these activities took place. There was no natural daylight, so the beginning and end of the day would have been marked by the artificial light of torches, lamps, or the occasional shaft of sunlight that filtered down through the ventilation shafts. These artificial time markers helped the residents of Nushabad maintain a sense of the passing day, even when they were isolated from the world above. The most important ritual in Nushabad, like any society, would have been the gathering for meals. Despite the challenges of living underground, the residents needed to ensure that they were able to sustain themselves, and their food practices would have played a central role in their daily lives. The city was equipped with food storage chambers, where supplies could be kept cool and safe. Since the people of Nushabad had to rely on stored food and water, meal preparation became a communal task, one that likely brought people together in the heart of the underground city. The shared act of cooking and eating would have been not just a necessity for survival, but a ritual that helped to maintain a sense of community in an otherwise isolated world. Meals were likely a time for bonding, for connecting with others, and for maintaining the fabric of daily life, even in the face of adversity. Beyond meals, there were other rituals that structured daily life. One such ritual would have been the maintenance of the ventilation system. The system was not a passive one. It required regular monitoring and adjustment to ensure that the air in the tunnels remained fresh, and that the flow of oxygen was uninterrupted. People would have gathered to check the ventilation shafts, clear any obstructions, and make sure that the system was functioning properly. This process, though essential for survival, also served to reinforce the sense of community in Nushabad. It was a collective effort, a shared responsibility that tied the residents together in their common goal: survival. The maintenance of water systems would have been another daily ritual. In a city built in the desert, where water was a scarce and precious resource, ensuring a steady supply was critical. Water was collected from wells and stored in large chambers, and residents would likely gather to ensure that the water supply was maintained. The act of gathering and distributing water was not only necessary for survival, but also for the cohesion of the community. It was a reminder that despite being hidden away beneath the earth, the residents of Nushabad were not cut off from the cycles of life. They were part of a larger system that required effort, cooperation, and awareness. Even in an underground city where the world above was out of reach, the inhabitants of Nushabad would have found ways to mark significant moments in life. This could have been through religious rituals, communal gatherings, or celebrations of personal milestones. While the specifics of their rituals are lost to history, it's easy to imagine that, like any other society, the people of Nushabad would have turned to these traditions to create meaning in their lives. These rituals were important not only for the spiritual and emotional well-being of the residents, but also for maintaining a sense of identity and connection to the community. Social interaction was another vital component of daily life. In a place like Nushabad, where privacy could be limited and space was confined, communal living would have played a significant role in the inhabitants' sense of well-being. Socializing, even in an underground city, was essential for creating a sense of normalcy and belonging. People would have gathered to discuss daily tasks, share stories, and maintain the bonds that tied them together. Even without the luxury of open space or the ability to freely roam, the residents of Nushabad would have found ways to foster relationships, engage in communal activities, and support each other through the hardships of underground living. The rituals of Nushabad, though shaped by the necessity of survival, would have also been shaped by the residents' desire to maintain their humanity. In the absence of sunlight, the rhythms of day and night became artificial constructs. In the absence of open air and freedom of movement, the social rituals of community became all the more important. Nushabad's inhabitants lived within a confined world, but through their daily practices, they managed to sustain not just their bodies, but their spirits as well. These rituals were the lifeblood of the underground city, ensuring that life could continue with meaning, connection, and purpose. Perhaps the most poignant aspect of daily life in Nushabad was the way these rituals allowed its residents to feel connected to something larger than themselves. In a city built to protect them from the outside world, these rituals were a way to preserve a sense of belonging, of continuity, and of culture. They helped the people of Nushabad feel that, despite being isolated in the earth, they were still part of the larger human experience. Every meal shared, every task completed, and every ritual performed served as a reminder that life, even in the most challenging circumstances, was still worth living. As we continue to explore the complexities of Nushabad, it becomes clear that the daily rituals of its inhabitants were not just about survival. They were about maintaining a sense of normalcy and dignity, about building a life that was rooted in tradition and community. The people of Nushabad, though living underground, were determined to create a life that was rich with meaning, connection, and purpose, proving that even in the most isolated of circumstances, human life can find a way to flourish. Nushabad, the underground city, was not just a place of refuge. It was a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the people who designed and built it. Hidden beneath the harsh desert landscape, where the elements could be both a threat and a constant challenge, Nushabad's builders relied on their knowledge of the land and their ability to create sustainable systems that allowed life to continue in this subterranean world. The technology of survival in Nushabad wasn't high-tech by modern standards, but it was incredibly advanced for its time, utilizing simple yet effective engineering techniques to ensure that the city could endure, thrive, and remain self-sustaining in a world where survival was never guaranteed. The most important piece of technology that underpinned Nushabad's survival was its infrastructure. The city's architects and builders didn't just dig tunnels. They created an intricate and sophisticated system of chambers, ventilation shafts, water storage, and defensive structures. Every aspect of Nushabad's design was intentionally crafted to ensure that its inhabitants could live, breathe, and maintain a sense of normalcy despite being buried beneath the earth. The tunnels themselves were not simply dug randomly, but were carefully planned and constructed to provide the necessary airflow, access, and defense mechanisms that would support life in this hidden city. One of the most striking features of Nushabad's technological ingenuity is its ventilation system. In any underground space, ensuring that the air remains fresh and breathable is paramount. Without a reliable airflow system, a city like Nushabad would quickly become uninhabitable, as carbon dioxide would build up and oxygen would deplete. The ventilation system in Nushabad was not a simple afterthought. It was a carefully crafted network of shafts and ducts that allowed fresh air from the surface to circulate throughout the underground chambers. The placement of these ventilation shafts was not random, but intentional, designed to create a natural flow of air throughout the city. The builders used the principles of thermodynamics to their advantage. Warm air would naturally rise, creating a cycle of air movement that allowed for the constant exchange of fresh oxygen. This ingenious system kept the city's inhabitants safe from suffocation, while also preventing the build-up of harmful gases. The technology of survival in Nushabad wasn't confined to just ventilation. The builders of the city understood that access to fresh water was essential for life, especially in a desert environment where natural sources were scarce. The underground city was equipped with a system of wells and water storage chambers, allowing the residents to tap into the groundwater that lay deep beneath the surface. These wells were carefully dug to ensure a constant supply of water, and the chambers where the water was stored were built to keep it cool and safe. The storage systems were designed to be efficient, preventing waste and ensuring that every drop of water was accounted for. The ability to collect, store, and manage water in such an arid environment was a key piece of technology that ensured the city could sustain life for generations. In addition to water and air, food was another critical component of survival. The people of Nushabad knew that they couldn't rely on external sources for their sustenance. They had to create a system that would allow them to grow, store, and preserve food underground. This, too, required a great deal of ingenuity. The city was designed with specific chambers for food storage, where supplies could be kept cool and preserved for long periods. These storage rooms were built with careful attention to temperature and humidity control, allowing food to remain viable even without access to sunlight. Additionally, the people of Nushabad may have relied on underground farming techniques, cultivating crops in the relatively stable and protected environment of the city. The use of stored food and careful preservation methods allowed the inhabitants to survive even during periods when external resources were unavailable. But the technology of survival in Nushabad didn't stop at sustenance and ventilation. The city was also designed with security in mind. The builders understood that in times of conflict they would need to protect themselves from external threats. This led to the construction of defensive features that were integrated into the city's infrastructure. The tunnels, while providing access to different parts of the city, were also designed to slow down any potential invaders. They were narrow and winding, making it difficult for attackers to navigate quickly. Certain areas of the city could be sealed off with heavy doors or barriers, allowing the residents to protect themselves in the event of an invasion. These defensive mechanisms, though simple, were highly effective in ensuring the safety and security of the city's inhabitants. In addition to these physical defences, the builders of Nushabad also relied on the concept of isolation as a form of protection. The city was intentionally hidden, buried beneath the earth, and difficult to find. The builders understood that secrecy was key to survival, and they constructed Nushabad in such a way that it was virtually invisible to those on the surface. The city's location was carefully chosen, hidden deep within the desert, where it would remain concealed from potential invaders or hostile forces. The isolation of Nushabad was not just physical, it was strategic, a deliberate effort to ensure that the city would remain safe from the dangers of the world above. The technology that kept Nushabad alive was not confined to just the basic needs of air, water, food, and security. The builders also understood the psychological impact of living in an underground city and took steps to mitigate the effects of isolation and darkness. One of the most important aspects of life in Nushabad was the creation of communal spaces, places where people could gather, socialize, and maintain a sense of connection with each other. These spaces helped to combat the psychological strain of living in isolation, providing a sense of normalcy and community. In a world where the sun's rays were a distant memory, these communal spaces acted as vital lifelines, allowing the residents of Nushabad to maintain a sense of belonging and stability. The technology of survival in Nushabad was also about adaptability. The city's design was flexible enough to accommodate future needs, whether that meant more living space, more storage, or new ways of managing resources. The builders understood that survival wasn't just about meeting immediate needs. It was about planning for the future and creating a system that could evolve with changing circumstances. Nushabad's infrastructure allowed for expansion and modification as needed, ensuring that the city could adapt to new challenges as they arose. This adaptability was crucial for the long-term survival of the city, ensuring that Nushabad could continue to support its inhabitants for generations to come. In many ways, Nushabad's technology of survival was a perfect blend of simplicity and sophistication. The builders didn't have access to modern machinery or advanced technology, but they understood the principles of engineering, physics, and resource management. They created a city that functioned seamlessly, with systems that were both simple and effective. The ingenuity behind Nushabad's design speaks to the resourcefulness of its creators and their ability to craft a self-sustaining system that could survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. As we explore the technology that kept Nushabad alive, we see that survival in this underground city wasn't just about enduring the physical challenges of the environment. It was about creating systems that could sustain life. Systems that provided air, water, food, security, and social connection. The technology of survival in Nushabad was built on an understanding of the land, of human needs, and of the importance of long-term planning. And in the face of adversity, the people of Nushabad built a city that stood as a testament to their ingenuity, their resilience, and their determination to survive against the odds. In the depths of Nushabad, the air isn't just a lifeline, it carries with it the echoes of movement, voices, and life itself. The city, though hidden beneath the harsh desert, is far from silent. The tunnels, winding and narrow, create a unique acoustic environment where even the softest sound can reverberate, filling the underground world with a constant hum. The whispering tunnels of Nushabad, with their winding corridors and carefully designed pathways, create an atmosphere where sound travels in unexpected ways, shaping not only the physical experience of the space, but also the psychological experience of those who live within it. When we think of tunnels, we often imagine dark, quiet spaces where sounds are absorbed by the earth, muffled and faint. But in Nushabad, the design of the tunnels actually amplifies sound in certain places, creating a distinctive auditory environment. The structure of the tunnels was intentional, with curves and turns that influence how sound moves through the underground chambers. The sound of footsteps, the murmur of voices, and even the faintest whisper can travel through the passages, sometimes amplifying as it bounces off the stone walls. The whispering tunnels, as they are often described, allow sound to move in ways that can be both comforting and disorienting, creating an acoustic landscape unlike any other. The acoustics of Nushabad were not a mere accident of design. The builders, in their wisdom, likely understood that the underground world would require more than just physical comfort to survive. It would need to maintain a sense of connection to the world above, even if that connection could only be auditory. In the absence of natural light, sound became an essential means of orientation, a way to communicate and navigate the city. The tunnels, with their unique ability to carry sound, would have acted as a kind of internal communication system. In a place where every corner and passageway could lead to a new chamber, where spaces were carved out for a specific purpose, the ability to hear someone's voice or the echo of distant footsteps could have been crucial for both safety and social interaction. The whispering tunnels would have had a profound effect on the daily life of the city's inhabitants. In a place where isolation and confinement were part of the daily reality, the ability to hear voices from afar, whether of a neighbour or a loved one, provided a psychological anchor. It allowed people to feel less alone, to maintain a sense of connection even in the quietest corners of the city. The sound of a whisper, carried by the cool underground air, could travel through the tunnels and be heard by someone in a completely different part of the city, offering a fleeting moment of familiarity and comfort. This acoustic design would have been essential for maintaining the social fabric of the community, allowing people to stay connected and aware of one another's presence. But the whispering tunnels weren't only functional, they also played a key role in the psychological experience of living underground. Living in an enclosed space with walls all around can lead to feelings of claustrophobia and isolation. The constant sense of quiet, the stillness that comes with being buried beneath the earth, can create an unsettling environment for those who dwell there. The echoing nature of Nushabad's tunnels, however, would have offered a subtle form of relief. The sounds of movement, of voices travelling through the air, helped to break the silence, creating an environment where life could continue to feel dynamic, even if it was separated from the natural world. The soft whispers and distant sounds helped to fill the empty space, creating a sense of vitality within the otherwise silent depths of the city. Interestingly, the acoustics of Nushabad's tunnels also held strategic significance. The ability to hear distant sounds could be crucial in the event of an invasion or any kind of threat to the city. In a place where survival was constantly at the forefront of the residents' minds, being able to detect an approaching enemy, even from a distance, was a significant advantage. The tunnel's ability to carry sound allowed residents to react quickly to any potential danger, alerting them to the presence of outsiders or intruders. The sound could travel through the narrow corridors, giving people time to prepare or retreat to safer areas of the city. The acoustics of the tunnels, while contributing to the daily life of the residents, also had an important defensive function, allowing the city to remain secure even in times of conflict. But the whispering tunnels weren't just about practicality or defense. They were also about creating a certain atmosphere, one that shaped the emotional and spiritual life of Nushabad's inhabitants. In a place where natural light was scarce, and the air was heavy with the weight of isolation, the ability to hear sound travel through the city was a form of connection to something greater. The soft echoes, the distant voices, the whispers travelling from one chamber to the next, these were the sounds of life continuing, of human existence enduring, even in the face of adversity. The whispering tunnels were a subtle reminder that despite being buried beneath the earth, Nushabad was still a living, breathing city. The sounds within the tunnels acted as a form of communication, not only between people, but between the inhabitants and the city itself. The acoustics of the space became part of the city's identity, defining the experience of living in this underground world. The tunnel's ability to carry sound also likely played a role in how people interacted with their environment. The city's inhabitants would have learned to listen carefully to the sounds around them, interpreting the echoes and whispers as clues to the layout of the space or the activities of others. In the absence of sight, hearing became even more crucial as a way to navigate and understand the city. The winding passages, the different chambers, the subtle shifts in sound, all of these would have informed the daily experience of moving through Nushabad. The ability to read the sounds of the city allowed the residents to move with ease, to find each other, and to remain aware of the changes within their environment. This unique auditory landscape also likely shaped the way people communicated within the city. The use of sound to signal and navigate would have fostered a distinct form of social interaction. Voices would carry through the tunnels, reaching others even when they were separated by walls and distance. In a city where privacy might have been limited, where every room and passageway was part of the larger system, sound provided a sense of intimacy and connection. The whispering tunnels, with their ability to carry voices and footsteps, allowed for communication that transcended physical barriers. People could call to each other, send messages through the walls, or simply share the quiet comfort of knowing that others were nearby, even if they couldn't be seen. As we consider the whispering tunnels of Nushabad, it becomes clear that the acoustics of the city were not just an afterthought or a byproduct of its underground construction. They were a fundamental part of the city's design, carefully crafted to support not only the physical needs of its inhabitants, but their emotional, social, and psychological well-being as well. The tunnel's ability to carry sound, to transform quiet into whispers and whispers into voices, played a key role in the survival of the city. The sounds within the tunnels were more than just noise. They were a lifeline, a way to remain connected to the outside world, to each other, and to the larger human experience. And in the depths of the earth, where isolation could so easily take hold, the whispering tunnels were a constant reminder that even in the darkest places, life, communication, and connection could still thrive. Living beneath the earth is not a natural state for human beings. We are creatures of the surface. Our instincts are shaped by the rhythms of the natural world, from the rising and setting of the sun to the changing seasons. Yet, Nushabad, an underground city carved out of the earth in the Iranian desert, became home for its inhabitants, sheltering them from the harsh realities of life above. As we explore the life of those who lived in Nushabad, it's important to consider the psychological effects of underground living. What does it do to the human psyche to be isolated from the sun, the open sky, and the natural environment? What mental toll does living in darkness, in confined spaces, and cut off from the natural world take on those who spend their days, and often their nights, beneath the earth? Psychologists and experts in environmental design have long recognized that the environment in which we live has a profound effect on our mental and emotional well-being. Natural light, open spaces, and access to nature are all crucial for maintaining a healthy psyche. When those elements are removed or severely limited, the impact can be significant. For those living in Nushabad, the lack of sunlight, the constant darkness, and the limited physical space would have likely contributed to a range of psychological challenges. Yet, in spite of these obstacles, the people of Nushabad managed to adapt, creating a sense of normalcy and community within the confines of their underground world. One of the most significant psychological effects of underground living is the lack of natural light. Humans are deeply connected to the cycles of day and night, with our bodies and minds governed by circadian rhythms that respond to the presence and absence of light. The absence of sunlight can disrupt these rhythms, leading to a variety of physical and emotional issues, including sleep disturbances, fatigue, depression, and anxiety. In Nushabad, where sunlight was largely absent, the people would have had to adapt their lives to artificial light sources, relying on torches, lamps, and ventilation shafts to bring in what little natural light they could. While these shafts would have allowed for some sunlight to penetrate into the deeper chambers during the day, the lack of consistent natural light would have affected the residents' ability to maintain a healthy circadian rhythm. Over time, this disruption could lead to feelings of disorientation, lethargy, and mood instability. In addition to the lack of light, living underground also means living in confined spaces. Nushabad's tunnels and chambers were carved into the earth to provide shelter, but they were not large open spaces. The narrow winding passages and small rooms created a sense of confinement that could have triggered feelings of claustrophobia and anxiety. Even for those who weren't particularly prone to such feelings, living in a space where movement is limited and where escape routes may be few can create a psychological burden. The physical confinement of underground life can lead to feelings of helplessness and vulnerability, especially in a city designed to protect its inhabitants from external threats. The constant awareness that one's freedom of movement is restricted, whether by narrow passageways or by the isolation of being buried deep beneath the earth, can take a toll on the mind. Over time, these feelings of confinement could lead to emotional distress, stress, and a sense of disconnection from the outside world. Psychological experts also point to the social effects of living in an underground environment. In any community, social connections are a vital aspect of well-being. In Nushabad, however, the residents were forced to live in close quarters with limited space for privacy and personal solitude. While this close-knit living arrangement may have helped foster a sense of community and mutual support, it also meant that there were fewer opportunities for personal space and time away from others. This lack of privacy, combined with the confined living spaces, could have contributed to feelings of social stress, conflict and tension. It's likely that the residents of Nushabad had to develop coping mechanisms to manage the close quarters and maintain their social bonds, but the constant proximity of others could have made interpersonal conflicts more difficult to avoid or resolve. Another significant psychological effect of underground living is the isolation from the outside world. Humans are social creatures, and we thrive on connection to the broader world, whether that connection is to nature, to other people, or to the larger society. Living in a place like Nushabad, cut off from the sun, the sky, and the world above, could lead to a profound sense of isolation. This physical isolation might have been compounded by emotional isolation, as the inhabitants of Nushabad were not able to interact with others in the same way that surface dwellers could. The city's design, with its hidden rooms and narrow passageways, was built with defence and security in mind, but it also reinforced a sense of separation. The residents of Nushabad were isolated not only from the world above, but also from other communities, creating a feeling of separateness that could lead to loneliness and a sense of disconnection. This isolation also meant that the people of Nushabad were separated from the natural cycles of a life. No changing seasons, no sunrise or sunset, no fresh air or rain. They were cut off from the world's rhythms and the natural patterns that give life its structure. For people living in an underground city, the passage of time would likely have become more abstract, difficult to track in the absence of natural cues. This lack of connection to the outside world, along with the artificial markers of time, could have led to a distorted sense of reality. The residents of Nushabad might have struggled with the dissonance between their lived experience underground and the world outside, which they could only imagine through the limited light that filtered through the ventilation shafts or the occasional sound that drifted down from above. However, despite the challenges, the residents of Nushabad likely developed coping mechanisms that allowed them to manage the psychological effects of underground living. Humans are remarkably adaptable creatures, and the people of Nushabad likely found ways to mitigate the mental strain caused by their environment. The city's design, with its communal spaces and social rituals, provided opportunities for connection and interaction, which would have been essential for mental well-being. The shared responsibility of maintaining the city's systems, whether it was managing the ventilation, ensuring a steady water supply or preparing food, would have given the residents a sense of purpose and a shared identity, reducing feelings of helplessness and isolation. Moreover, the very design of Nushabad, with its careful attention to ventilation, air quality and light, would have helped reduce some of the negative effects of underground living. The ventilation shafts, which allowed fresh air to circulate and natural light to filter in, would have helped alleviate some of the psychological strain caused by the lack of sunlight. The rooms and passageways were designed to ensure a constant supply of breathable air, helping to avoid the suffocating feeling that can come from living in a sealed environment. The presence of these thoughtful details in the city's design would have created a sense of security, even in an environment that, by its nature, could feel oppressive. In many ways, Nushabad represents the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to adapt to even the most challenging conditions. While the psychological effects of underground living would have been profound, the people of Nushabad found ways to manage these challenges. They created a system, a rhythm, and a community that allowed them to survive and even thrive, despite the inherent limitations of their environment. In doing so, Nushabad became more than just a city. It became a testament to human ingenuity, adaptability, and the unyielding desire to create a sense of home, even in the most unlikely of places. Nushabad, the underground city, was built not only as a sanctuary from the elements, but also as a fortress against the threats that might emerge from above. In a region where invasions, banditry and unrest were common, the people who built this subterranean city understood that survival was not just about protection from the desert heat or the cold. It was about defending themselves from the dangers of a hostile world. The city's hidden defensive structures, woven seamlessly into its design, played a crucial role in ensuring the safety of its inhabitants. These structures were not immediately apparent. They were built into the very fabric of Nushabad's tunnels, concealed by the very nature of the underground environment itself. The result was a city that was both a refuge and a stronghold, one where safety and survival were paramount concerns. From the outset, the builders of Nushabad understood that an underground city would offer certain natural defences. The very act of digging into the earth and creating a subterranean world already provided a level of protection from invaders. The sheer difficulty of finding and entering the city would have deterred many potential attackers, but this was not enough on its own. Nushabad's architects and engineers knew that more active forms of defence would be required to keep the city's inhabitants safe from external threats. So, they designed a series of hidden defensive features that would allow them to control access to the city, protect their most vulnerable spaces, and respond to any invasion attempts with speed and effectiveness. One of the key elements of Nushabad's defensive design was its labyrinthine structure. The tunnels were intentionally winding, narrow and difficult to navigate, making it challenging for invaders to move quickly through the city. This wasn't just a matter of fortuitous design. The builders of Nushabad knew that narrow twisting passages would slow down any potential attacker, making it harder for them to breach the city or reach its heart. The tunnels themselves acted as a defensive maze. Those who entered the city would be forced to follow a convoluted path, unsure of where they were going or where they might encounter resistance. The complexity of the city's layout also meant that anyone trying to invade would be at a severe disadvantage, unable to move freely or predict what lay ahead. In addition to the maze-like tunnels, the builders of Nushabad incorporated a series of sealed doors and barriers throughout the city. These doors were designed to close off sections of the city in the event of an attack, preventing invaders from easily advancing. They could be shut quickly and securely, effectively locking down entire areas of the city and keeping the inhabitants safe. The doors were likely built from heavy materials, stone or wood, and were designed to be strong enough to withstand the force of a potential assault. These defensive barriers allowed the residents of Nushabad to control access to the city's critical areas, ensuring that, in the event of an invasion, the city could be isolated and its most vulnerable spaces protected. The strategic placement of these doors and barriers was key to Nushabad's defense. The city's design ensured that even if invaders were able to breach the outer tunnels, they would still face multiple layers of defense. The sealed rooms and passageways acted as strongholds, places where the city's defenders could retreat to and hold their ground while waiting for the threat to subside. The defensive design allowed for flexibility and adaptation, enabling the residents of Nushabad to respond to threats in real time and alter the city's layout to their advantage. The city's defensive features were not static but could be adjusted based on the nature and scale of the threat. Another critical component of Nushabad's defensive structure was its ventilation system. At first glance, the ventilation shafts in Nushabad appear to be purely functional, designed to ensure that fresh air circulated through the underground chambers and kept the inhabitants safe from suffocation. But in the context of the city's defence, the ventilation system served a dual purpose. The shafts allowed for the movement of air, but they also provided a means of monitoring the outside world. If someone attempted to block or disrupt the ventilation system, it would have been an immediate signal that something was amiss. The ventilation shafts could be sealed off quickly if necessary, preventing anyone from gaining access to the city through this crucial point of entry. The ability to control air circulation became a means of both maintaining the city's internal environment and defending it against external threats. The use of water storage and wells in Nushabad also played a defensive role. Access to fresh water was a key component of the city's survival, but it was also a critical resource in times of conflict. By securing their water supply deep underground, the people of Nushabad ensured that their most valuable resource would remain safe from enemy forces. If the surface world were to become too dangerous, or if invaders sought to block water supplies, the residents of Nushabad could rely on their protected underground water system. The wells were strategically placed and difficult to access, further protecting the city from external forces that might attempt to cut off their resources. In addition to these physical defences, Nushabad's defensive structures were also built with a psychological element in mind. The very fact that the city was hidden beneath the earth would have acted as a deterrent to potential invaders. The city's existence was largely unknown to the outside world, and the difficulties of finding and accessing it would have been enough to dissuade many from even attempting an attack. The psychological advantage of living in a hidden city, surrounded by the protective barrier of the earth itself, likely played a role in the security of Nushabad. The residents could feel safe in the knowledge that their city was not only well designed for defence, but also concealed from the view of potential enemies. Yet the most striking feature of Nushabad's defensive system was its ability to allow for a quick and efficient response to threats. The city was built to be self-sustaining and resilient, but it was also built to be flexible and adaptable in times of danger. The ability to seal off sections of the city, to lock down vulnerable spaces, and to defend critical resources gave Nushabad's residents the upper hand in times of conflict. The city's design ensured that, even if the world above became hostile, the underground sanctuary would remain secure, offering refuge and safety to those who sought shelter within. The hidden defensive structures of Nushabad reveal a great deal about the mindset of the people who built it. They were not only concerned with creating a space to survive, they were focused on ensuring that their survival could withstand the challenges of the external world. The defensive features of the city were woven into its very design, creating a place where protection, secrecy, and resilience were all part of the fabric of everyday life. The tunnels, the doors, the ventilation system, and the water supply, all these elements were strategically crafted to ensure that Nushabad could endure, no matter what dangers lay above. As we continue to explore Nushabad, we see that its defensive structures were more than just physical barriers. They were the backbone of the city's identity. They were a reflection of the inhabitants' desire to protect themselves, to maintain their way of life, and to ensure that the city would remain a sanctuary for generations to come. And in this defence, Nushabad became not just a hidden city, but a symbol of human ingenuity, adaptability, and the unyielding desire to survive, no matter the circumstances. In the vast, unforgiving desert that stretches across Iran, water is more than just a necessity. It's a lifeline. The desert's arid conditions, extreme temperatures, and unpredictable rainfall make it one of the most hostile environments on Earth. But within the hidden underground city of Nushabad, nestled beneath the earth, water became one of the most critical components of survival. For the people who carved this subterranean world, the ability to secure a reliable, sustainable water supply was paramount. Without access to fresh water, the city would have been uninhabitable, no matter how well designed its other features might have been. As we delve into the mechanisms that allowed Nushabad to thrive, we begin to appreciate the ingenuity and foresight that went into creating its water systems, an essential lifeline for a city that was buried deep in the earth. The people of Nushabad understood that in the desert, water could not be taken for granted. It was a precious resource, often scarce and difficult to find. The city's builders did not have the luxury of relying on surface-level rivers, lakes, or other water sources that could be easily accessed. Instead, they turned to the earth itself, tapping into the groundwater that lay deep beneath the surface. But accessing this water and keeping it flowing for future generations required careful planning, clever engineering, and a deep understanding of the land beneath their feet. At the heart of Nushabad's water system was a series of wells, dug deep into the earth, far below the surface. These wells were the key to the city's water supply, and they tapped into the groundwater that flowed beneath the desert sands. The wells were not just dug randomly, they were strategically placed to ensure a steady, reliable flow of water to the city's inhabitants. The people of Nushabad understood the importance of securing access to water, and they made sure that their wells were deep enough to tap into underground aquifers, sources of water that would remain hidden from the harsh sun and the scorching desert heat. The wells were interconnected with a system of underground channels and storage chambers, allowing the water to be distributed throughout the city. This network of pipes and channels ensured that water could flow from the wells to various parts of Nushabad, providing fresh water to the residents wherever it was needed. The system was carefully engineered to ensure that water would be stored efficiently and distributed evenly, even during times of scarcity. In a city built deep beneath the earth, where surface-level rainfall was almost non-existent, this water distribution system was the foundation of life. Without it, Nushabad would not have been able to sustain its population or survive the challenges of living in the desert. The wells and channels in Nushabad were not merely functional, they were built with an understanding of the desert's extreme climate. The temperature in the desert can fluctuate dramatically, from scorching heat during the day to freezing cold at night. But beneath the surface, the temperature remains relatively constant, making it an ideal place for storing and protecting water. The wells in Nushabad were deep enough to access water that was protected from the intense heat of the surface, keeping it cool and drinkable even in the harshest conditions. The storage chambers where the water was kept were also designed to maintain the cool temperature, ensuring that the water remained fresh and safe to drink. However, the water system in Nushabad wasn't just about storing and protecting water, it was about managing it wisely. In a desert, water can't be wasted. Every drop must be carefully conserved and used sparingly. The residents of Nushabad likely had strict systems in place to monitor and manage the water supply. The city's layout, with its multiple levels and interconnected chambers, ensured that water could be distributed to the places where it was most needed, whether for drinking, cooking, or other essential activities. The water distribution system was likely monitored regularly to ensure that no section of the city ran out of water and that every drop was used efficiently. In an environment where water is scarce, waste is not an option, and the residents of Nushabad understood this principle well. Beyond the technical engineering of the water system, there was also a psychological aspect to the role water played in the lives of Nushabad's inhabitants. In the desert, water is not just a practical resource, it is a symbol of life itself. The presence of water in Nushabad would have been a constant reminder of the city's resilience, of the ingenuity and foresight that went into its creation. It was a resource that allowed the people of Nushabad to thrive in an environment where survival was never guaranteed. Access to water, in this context, was not just about meeting physical needs, it was about sustaining life in a place that, without it, would be inhospitable to human existence. The psychological significance of water would have extended beyond its practical use. In a city that was buried deep underground, isolated from the world above, the presence of water became a lifeline, both literal and symbolic. It was a connection to the natural world, a reminder of the Earth's capacity to provide even in the most unlikely of places. The wells and water storage chambers of Nushabad were not just technical achievements, they were symbols of hope and survival, offering a tangible connection to life beyond the city's walls. The residents of Nushabad would have also relied on the community's collective knowledge to manage and protect their water supply. In a city built with an emphasis on cooperation and survival, the management of water would have been a communal responsibility. The people would have worked together to maintain the wells, monitor the water supply, and ensure that the system continued to function effectively. This collective effort would have fostered a sense of shared purpose and resilience, as the entire community relied on the proper functioning of the water system to survive. The role of water in Nushabad's design went beyond just the practical and symbolic. It also shaped the daily life of the city's inhabitants. Water was central to every aspect of life, from cooking to cleaning to personal hygiene. Without a reliable and accessible water supply, the city would have been unable to sustain itself. The design of the water system ensured that the residents could carry on their daily rituals and activities without the constant worry of water shortages. In a place where so much of life was already defined by the limitations of underground living, the availability of water was a critical factor in maintaining a sense of normalcy and routine. The challenges of living in an underground city in the desert are immense, but the people of Nushabad overcame them with a combination of ingenuity, foresight, and a deep understanding of the land. Water, more than any other resource, was the key to the city's survival. The wells, channels, and storage chambers were carefully crafted to ensure that Nushabad could sustain its population, even in the harshest conditions. As we continue to explore the hidden depths of Nushabad, we see that the city's survival depended not only on the protection of its inhabitants from the dangers of the surface world, but also on the careful management of the life-giving resource of water. It was the foundation of life in the desert, and in Nushabad, it was a lifeline that allowed the city to endure for generations. Beneath the harsh surface of the Iranian desert, the underground city of Nushabad exists as an isolated world, separated not only from the sun but from the human connections and rhythms that are the hallmark of life above ground. In this city, life is lived in the depths, far from the open sky, where the sun's light never reaches, and the ever-present hum of nature is replaced by the quiet echoes of human activity. This isolation, though a protective measure designed for survival, also has a profound psychological and emotional impact on those who dwell in the subterranean world. While Nushabad was a marvel of engineering, designed to ensure that its inhabitants could survive and even thrive in an otherwise inhospitable environment, it is impossible to ignore the psychological toll of underground living, the effect of being cut off from the world above, and, more profoundly, from the very forces of nature that shape the human experience. Isolation is by its nature a dual-edged sword. On one hand, the underground city of Nushabad offered refuge from the harsh elements of the desert, protection from invasions, and a controlled environment in which food, water, and air could be carefully managed. But on the other hand, this very isolation came with consequences. Humans are inherently social beings, wired to be connected to others, to experience the world in tandem with the cycles of nature. The isolation of Nushabad removed its inhabitants from the natural world, from the simple pleasures of seeing the sun rise and set, from the warmth of daylight, and from the freedom of open space. This form of isolation is unlike that experienced on the surface, where solitude might be voluntary or temporary. In Nushabad, isolation was imposed by design, deep within the earth, where the world above seemed so distant and unreachable. The first and perhaps most profound effect of this isolation was the absence of natural light. In Nushabad, the cycles of day and night were dictated by artificial lighting, by lamps, torches, and the occasional shaft of sunlight that filtered through ventilation shafts. But the feeling of seeing the sun rise or set, of basking in its warmth, was something that could not be replicated underground. Without natural light, the residents of Nushabad lost their connection to the daily rhythm of the world above. The absence of sunlight would have led to a disruption of their circadian rhythms, which regulate everything from sleep cycles to mood and energy levels. Without the cues of dawn and dusk, the passage of time might have become disorienting, leading to a blurred sense of day and night. The underground city, despite its ingenuity, would have left its inhabitants with an undeniable sense of detachment from the natural world, where the seasons change, the weather shifts, and the earth is alive with activity. The lack of sunlight was more than just a physical challenge. It would have also been a psychological one. Human beings rely on sunlight for more than just warmth and light. It plays a crucial role in regulating mental health and emotional well-being. The absence of the sun can contribute to conditions like seasonal affective disorder, SAD, a form of depression that occurs when natural light is scarce. In the confined, dimly lit spaces of Nushabad, residents would have been cut off from the natural sources of comfort and joy that sunlight provides. The artificial light within the city could never replicate the warm, natural glow of the sun, and living in perpetual twilight would have cast an emotional pall over the people who inhabited the underground city. This psychological strain would have been compounded by the confined space. Nushabad's tunnels and chambers were designed to be functional, but they were not spacious. The narrow, winding passageways and small living rooms, while offering protection, would have felt restrictive over time. The absence of open space, of vast expanses of sky and land, would have contributed to a sense of physical confinement. While the residents of Nushabad had the protection of the earth around them, they also lacked the freedom to roam, to expand their horizons, or to escape the physical limitations of their environment. This confinement could easily lead to feelings of claustrophobia, anxiety, and restlessness. Even though the city was a place of safety, its isolation would have been a constant mental and emotional challenge for its inhabitants. But perhaps the most profound aspect of isolation in Nushabad was the emotional distance it created from the world above. The city's existence was hidden from the surface world, concealed by the desert's shifting sands and the sheer difficulty of accessing the underground chambers. This physical isolation also meant that the inhabitants were cut off from the larger human experience. They lived in a self-contained world, with little contact or interaction with those outside their community. This emotional isolation could have been deeply unsettling for the residents, as they lived not only away from the land and nature but also from the broader social connections that are central to the human experience. Without the ability to interact with others beyond the confines of Nushabad, the city's inhabitants may have experienced a sense of disconnection and loneliness. Humans need social interaction to thrive. The bonds formed through shared experiences, conversations, and community rituals help maintain a sense of mental and emotional well-being. In Nushabad, this sense of connection was confined to a small, tightly knit group of people. While this would have fostered close relationships and a sense of solidarity, it also meant that the social world of the city was limited. The absence of new faces, new ideas, and interactions with the outside world could have created a sense of stagnation, a feeling that the world outside was moving on without them, that they were trapped in an unchanging, closed-off existence. The impact of this emotional isolation would have been amplified by the city's design. The residents of Nushabad didn't just live in isolation, they lived in an environment that was both physically and mentally detached from the world above. The tunnels, the darkness, the confinement, all of these elements combined to create a world that was sealed off from the natural order of things. In this sense, Nushabad wasn't just a refuge. It was a sanctuary of solitude where life went on despite the isolation, where survival was maintained even as the human need for connection to the outside world faded into the background. Despite these challenges, the people of Nushabad were remarkably resilient. They built their city with careful thought, with communal spaces that allowed for socializing and bonding. They adapted to their environment, developing ways to make life as comfortable and functional as possible despite the isolation. The tunnels, while restrictive, were also places where human connection could flourish, where relationships were formed, work was shared, and rituals were maintained. In many ways, the isolation of Nushabad became a defining characteristic of the city itself, an element that shaped the way the residents lived, interacted, and survived. Ultimately, the isolation of the underground city of Nushabad was both its strength and its challenge. The seclusion provided protection, allowing its inhabitants to thrive in a world that was often inhospitable. But it also imposed a psychological burden, forcing the residents to cope with the absence of sunlight, space, and interaction with the outside world. Nushabad's design was a delicate balance. Its isolation provided safety, but it also required a deep understanding of the human need for connection, light, and freedom. As we continue to explore the complexities of life in Nushabad, we see that its isolation was not just a physical reality, it was a psychological one as well, shaping every aspect of the underground city's existence. In Nushabad, Survival was not just a matter of individual resilience. It was a collective effort, a shared responsibility among the city's inhabitants. Despite the physical isolation, the psychological strain of underground living, and the ever-present challenges of the desert environment, the residents of Nushabad found ways to create a thriving community within the earth. The success of this underground city was built upon the foundation of communal cooperation, social bonds, and a deep sense of shared purpose. The people of Nushabad weren't just surviving, they were living, creating, and maintaining a society in the most unlikely of circumstances. A community in the desert, buried deep beneath the surface, would have been defined by its ability to work together. Unlike the cities of the surface, which had access to the wide open spaces of the world, Nushabad was a confined, hidden world. The people who lived there had no choice but to depend on one another for support, whether that was emotional, physical, or practical. The isolation and confinement of underground life could have easily led to despair, but the residents of Nushabad knew that their survival depended on cooperation. This understanding fostered a strong sense of community, where every person played a role in ensuring that the city's systems, food, water, air, security, remained operational and sustainable. Social interaction, despite the physical constraints of living in such close quarters, was essential to the survival of Nushabad's inhabitants. In the absence of the outside world, where socialization with others was limited to a small group of people, it became imperative that these social bonds be strong. The city's design, with its communal spaces and shared responsibilities, helped create opportunities for people to interact. Meal times, work groups, communal rituals, and even simple moments of shared quiet all contributed to the development of close relationships and a sense of mutual support. Without these social connections, it would have been impossible for the residents to thrive in the harsh conditions of underground life. The close-knit nature of the community allowed the people of Nushabad to cope with the psychological strain of isolation and confinement, providing a sense of comfort and solidarity that helped them endure. In an underground city where the normal markers of time, sunrise and sunset, the changing of the seasons, were absent, the rhythm of daily life was shaped by shared routines. The people of Nushabad would have developed a strong sense of structure, with designated times for work, rest, and communal activities. These routines provided a sense of normalcy in an environment that could easily feel overwhelming and disorienting. A predictable rhythm, whether it was the daily gathering to check the water supply, the regular communal meals, or the shared responsibility of maintaining the ventilation system, gave structure to life in Nushabad and created a sense of purpose for its inhabitants. This structure also helped mitigate feelings of isolation, providing a sense of connection to the community and to the larger world, even if that world was buried deep below the surface. The shared responsibility for maintaining the city's infrastructure was another key factor in the survival of Nushabad. Every person in the community had a role to play in ensuring that the city's critical systems, air, water, food, and security, remained functional. This collective responsibility fostered a sense of ownership and investment in the success of the city. Whether it was checking the ventilation shafts, maintaining the water supply, or guarding the city against potential threats, each resident had a part to play in the overall survival of the community. This sense of shared responsibility helped build trust among the inhabitants, as they relied on one another to keep the city running smoothly. The success of the community was not determined by individual effort, but by the collective action of all its members. Moreover, Nushabad's survival depended on the ability of its residents to adapt to the unique challenges of underground living. The isolation, the lack of sunlight, and the limited space could have easily led to feelings of helplessness and despair. But the people of Nushabad were resilient. They found ways to adapt and make the most of their environment. They created systems for growing food, storing water, and circulating air. They built a city that was not only safe but sustainable. the residents understood that survival was not just about protecting themselves from external threats, but about creating an environment where they could thrive, where they could continue to live and build community in the absence of the natural world. This adaptability was also reflected in the way the community came together to face challenges. Whether it was dealing with an unexpected threat, maintaining the ventilation system, or conserving resources during times of scarcity, the people of Nushabad knew that they could rely on each other. The community's strength lay in its ability to respond to challenges as a collective, to pool its resources, knowledge and skills to find solutions. This sense of unity and collective action gave the residents the strength to face the adversity of underground life. The bonds of community were not just about practical cooperation, they also provided emotional and psychological support. Life underground could be isolating, and the physical limitations of the environment could lead to feelings of anxiety, claustrophobia, or even depression. In these conditions, emotional well-being depended on the support of others. The people of Nushabad would have turned to one another for companionship, for comfort, and for the reassurance that they were not alone. The communal spaces in the city, whether they were shared living quarters, communal kitchens, or common areas for socializing, provided opportunities for people to connect, share stories, and provide mutual support. These spaces became the heart of the community, places where relationships could be nurtured and where the sense of isolation could be alleviated, if only for a time. Religion and spiritual practices likely played a role in the sense of community as well. In times of hardship, belief systems and rituals often provide a sense of purpose and a way to connect with something greater than oneself. While the specifics of Nushabad's spiritual practices are lost to history, it's likely that the people of the underground city would have relied on rituals, prayers, and ceremonies to maintain a sense of hope and continuity. The act of gathering together for a shared purpose, whether for religious observance or for a community gathering, would have reinforced the bonds of the community and provided emotional support in times of difficulty. The people of Nushabad were not just surviving, they were living together, adapting to their environment, and finding ways to create a thriving community in a place that might seem inhospitable to life. Their success in doing so speaks to the strength of the human spirit and the power of cooperation. In a city that was isolated from the outside world, where survival depended on the collective effort of every individual, the people of Nushabad formed a community that could endure and thrive despite the challenges of living underground. Ultimately, the survival of Nushabad was a reflection of the resilience, adaptability, and strength of its inhabitants. They didn't just build a city to escape danger, they built a community, a place where people could live, work, and grow together, even in the harshest of conditions. The success of this underground city lies not only in its architectural and engineering feats, but in the social bonds and collective effort that allowed it to endure. The people of Nushabad proved that, even in the most isolated and confined of spaces, community can flourish. And survival is not just about living, it's about living together with purpose, connection, and mutual support. Nushabad, the hidden underground city, is a remarkable testament to the endurance of human ingenuity and the determination to survive in even the most unforgiving of environments. Built deep beneath the Iranian desert, where the harsh sun beats down relentlessly on the surface and the conditions are almost inhospitable to life, Nushabad has withstood the test of time. Its existence, largely forgotten for centuries, stands as a monument to the people who crafted it, those who, faced with extreme adversity, turned to the earth itself as a place of refuge, protection, and survival. But what is it that has allowed Nushabad to endure when so many other settlements have crumbled and faded into the sands of time? What is it about the city's design, its systems, and its people that has allowed it to remain hidden but intact, deep within the earth, for generations? The endurance of Nushabad is rooted in the foresight of its creators. Unlike many other settlements that were designed with the short-term goal of survival, Nushabad was built to last. Its architects and builders knew that in order to thrive in the desert, they needed a city that could withstand not only the immediate challenges of the environment, but the long-term effects of time, natural forces, and the human condition. Every aspect of the city's design, from its tunnels to its ventilation shafts, from its defensive structures to its water systems, was crafted with durability in mind. The choice to build underground was itself a long-term solution, one that provided shelter from the scorching sun and the bitter cold of the desert, while also ensuring that the city would be protected from external threats. The earth, with its stable temperature and protective layers, became a natural shield, allowing the city to remain secure and hidden for centuries. One of the key factors in Nushabad's endurance is the city's ability to adapt to changing circumstances. The city was not static. It was designed to grow, evolve, and adjust to the needs of its inhabitants. The tunnels and chambers of Nushabad were carefully planned to accommodate the daily activities of the people who lived there, but they were also designed with flexibility in mind. The residents of Nushabad could modify and repurpose spaces as needed, whether to expand their living areas, store additional supplies, or create new rooms for different functions. This adaptability allowed Nushabad to remain relevant and functional throughout its history, even as the needs of the people changed. The city's ability to evolve, to accommodate growth, and to adapt to new challenges was essential for its long-term survival. Another critical aspect of Nushabad's endurance lies in the sustainability of its systems. The city's water supply, ventilation system, and food storage were all designed with long-term sustainability in mind. The wells, which tapped into the deep groundwater beneath the surface, provided a constant and reliable source of water, even during periods of drought or scarcity. The ventilation shafts, strategically placed to ensure fresh air circulated throughout the tunnels, allowed the inhabitants to breathe easily and maintain a comfortable environment even deep underground. And the food storage chambers, designed to keep supplies cool and fresh, ensured that the people of Nushabad could survive without relying on outside sources for their sustenance. These systems were not just built to serve the immediate needs of the community, they were built to endure, to function for years, and to support the city's inhabitants through generations. The endurance of Nushabad also speaks to the resilience of the people who built and lived there. These were not people who simply sought to escape the dangers of the surface world. They were individuals who were determined to create a place where life could continue, no matter the odds. The people of Nushabad had to contend with the psychological and emotional challenges of living underground, cut off from the world above and isolated from the natural cycles of the earth. Yet despite these hardships, they formed a close-knit, self-sustaining community, one that relied on cooperation, mutual support, and shared responsibility. The city's endurance is a reflection of their ability to adapt to their environment, to find ways to survive and thrive despite the challenges of isolation and confinement. But the endurance of Nushabad goes beyond the survival of its systems and its people. It also speaks to the durability of its design. The city was built to withstand the natural forces that could cause other structures to decay or collapse. The tunnels, carved deep into the earth, were designed to resist the shifting sands and the erosive forces of time. The walls were reinforced with stone and other materials that would protect them from the elements and the constant pressure of the earth. The city's layout, with its winding passages and hidden rooms, was intended to be both functional and secure, ensuring that it would stand the test of time. And despite the fact that Nushabad was buried underground, removed from the public eye for centuries, its physical structure has remained remarkably intact. The endurance of Nushabad is not just a matter of human perseverance. It is a testament to the durability of the city's design, which was created to outlast the forces of nature and the passage of time. The rediscovery of Nushabad in modern times is a powerful reminder of its enduring legacy. Though the city lay hidden beneath the earth for centuries, it was not lost, only forgotten. The city's design, its systems and its structure have allowed it to remain intact, waiting to be uncovered by those who seek to learn from its history. The endurance of Nushabad serves as a symbol of the resilience and resourcefulness of those who built it, and it stands as a lasting example of how human ingenuity can overcome even the harshest of conditions. In many ways, the endurance of Nushabad reflects the endurance of the human spirit itself. The city was not just a place to survive, it was a place to live, to create, to build, and to preserve life for future generations. The people of Nushabad understood that survival was not just about avoiding danger, it was about creating a sustainable, self-sufficient way of life, one that could continue long after the immediate threats had passed. This vision of long-term survival and sustainability is what allowed Nushabad to endure, to remain hidden beneath the earth, and to continue to stand as a symbol of human resilience. As we reflect on the endurance of Nushabad, we see that it is more than just a city. It is a testament to the ability of human beings to adapt, to survive, and to thrive in even the most challenging environments. The city's design, its systems, and its people all contributed to its long-term survival, and its endurance continues to inspire those who uncover its secrets. In the heart of the desert, buried deep beneath the earth, Nushabad stands as a lasting reminder that, even in the face of adversity, with determination and ingenuity, we can create a future that endures. The story of Nushabad, the underground city, is one of mystery, resilience, and rediscovery. For centuries it lay hidden beneath the earth, its existence obscured by the harsh desert environment above and the sands of time that had slowly covered its traces. The city was not lost. It simply remained out of sight, waiting patiently for the day when it would once again be uncovered. That day came when modern explorers, archaeologists and historians turned their attention to the Iranian desert and began to peel back the layers of history that had long been buried. What they uncovered was a remarkable city, one that had survived not only the ravages of time but also the forces of nature, invaders, and the ceaseless erosion of the desert. The rediscovery of Nushabad is a testament to the power of human curiosity and the drive to uncover the hidden secrets of the past. In many ways, the exploration of Nushabad reflects the modern world's growing interest in ancient engineering feats and underground cities, places that offer insight into the ingenuity and resourcefulness of ancient civilizations. But what makes Nushabad especially intriguing is not just its age or its architecture, it's the fact that it was so well preserved, largely intact and hidden beneath the desert for so long. When it was rediscovered, it offered a rare glimpse into a subterranean world that had been sealed off from the outside for centuries. The first steps toward rediscovering Nushabad began with local curiosity and historical research. The city had been mentioned in various historical records, but its precise location had been forgotten over time. The ancient records hinted at a hidden city beneath the desert, a refuge from invaders and harsh desert conditions, but the details were vague. It wasn't until modern explorers started looking more closely at the historical and geographical clues that they were able to pinpoint the location of Nushabad. With advances in technology, including satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists and explorers were able to identify the exact site of the city, hidden beneath the shifting sands of the desert. Once the location was determined, the process of excavation began. The work was slow and painstaking, as archaeologists and engineers carefully dug through layers of sand, rock and earth. The underground tunnels, which had remained sealed for centuries, were finally exposed to the light of day. What they found was an intricate network of chambers, passageways, and defensive features, evidence of a sophisticated underground city built with both practical ingenuity and a deep understanding of the natural environment. The ventilation shafts, water storage chambers, and carefully constructed rooms were all remarkably well preserved, allowing researchers to study the advanced techniques used by the people who had built the city, As the excavation continued, the true scope of Nushabad's design became clear. The city was not a single isolated structure, but an entire subterranean world, carefully crafted to accommodate every aspect of daily life. The complex network of tunnels and chambers revealed a city that was self-sufficient, with its own systems for air circulation, water management, food storage, and defence. The ingenuity of the city's builders was evident in every aspect of the design, from the hidden defensive rooms to the strategic placement of ventilation shafts that allowed fresh air to circulate throughout the tunnels. The discovery of these systems was a major breakthrough in understanding how ancient civilizations adapted to their environments and found innovative solutions to the challenges of survival. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Nushabad's rediscovery was the fact that it had remained so well preserved for so long. The city had been sealed off from the outside world, hidden beneath the earth, and protected from the elements that would have otherwise eroded its structure. The dry, stable environment of the desert, combined with the protection of the earth itself, had allowed the city to survive the centuries relatively intact. This preservation allowed modern explorers to see the city in much the same way that its original inhabitants might have experienced it, giving us a rare look into the past and offering a valuable opportunity to learn from the ancient builders. The rediscovery of Nushabad has also sparked new interest in underground cities and ancient survival strategies. As the world grapples with challenges related to climate change, resource scarcity, and the search for sustainable living solutions, the ancient techniques used in Nushabad's construction provide valuable insights. The city's design, with its focus on self-sufficiency, adaptability, and long-term sustainability, serves as a reminder of the importance of planning for the future and building resilient systems that can withstand the challenges of time. Nushabad is not just a relic of the past, it is a blueprint for survival, offering lessons that are still relevant today. In addition to the practical aspects of Nushabad's design, the city's rediscovery has also sparked interest in its cultural and social implications. The community that lived in Nushabad must have been highly organised, with a strong sense of cooperation and shared responsibility. The underground city required its inhabitants to work together, to rely on one another, and to create a functioning society in a world that was both physically and socially isolated. The communal nature of life in Nushabad is a testament to the human capacity for resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity. The discovery of this city offers a glimpse into the ways that people have historically come together to survive in difficult environments, providing valuable lessons in the importance of community, cooperation, and mutual support. The modern exploration of Nushabad also raises important questions about preservation and conservation. As archaeologists continue to unearth the city's secrets, there is a growing recognition of the need to protect and preserve this remarkable site for future generations. Nushabad is not just an archaeological curiosity, it is a piece of history that offers valuable insights into the past and can inform the present and future. The city's survival beneath the desert for so many centuries is a testament to its resilience, but it is also a reminder of the fragility of human achievements. As more discoveries are made and Nushabad's secrets are revealed, the need to safeguard this underground city becomes even more urgent. The city's rediscovery has sparked a new appreciation for its significance, both as an engineering marvel and as a symbol of human resilience. The exploration of Nushabad has brought its story back into the public consciousness, and as the city is studied, explored, and preserved, it continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world. The hidden underground city is no longer a forgotten relic of the past. It is a living testament to the ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability of those who built it. The rediscovery of Nushabad has allowed us to see not only the physical remains of this underground world, but also to understand the social, cultural, and technological innovations that made it possible. In doing so, it has given us a deeper appreciation for the past and a renewed sense of wonder at the ways in which humans can survive, adapt, and thrive even in the most unlikely of places. Nushabad, the hidden underground city carved into the heart of the Iranian desert, offers a wealth of lessons that stretch far beyond its historical and architectural significance. It is a city designed to endure, built in response to the challenges of its environment and the threats faced by its inhabitants. Yet, as we study the ancient marvel of Nushabad, it becomes clear that the lessons it offers are not just about survival in harsh conditions, they're about resilience, adaptability, and the enduring human spirit. In a world that constantly faces change, uncertainty, and the impact of climate challenges, the city's existence beneath the earth provides powerful insights into how societies can thrive, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles. First and foremost, Nushabad teaches us the importance of adaptability. The people who built and lived in Nushabad didn't just accept the harsh conditions of the desert, they adapted to them. Rather than attempting to conquer the environment above, they found a way to live within it, turning to the earth itself as both shelter and protection. The city's design reflects a deep understanding of the need to adjust to one's surroundings and to make use of what is available. The underground layout, with its labyrinthine passages, carefully placed ventilation shafts and interconnected chambers, shows that survival isn't always about fighting against the environment. It's about finding innovative ways to coexist with it. In today's world, where climate change, resource scarcity, and rapid urbanization challenge modern societies, the ability to adapt, to build structures that are flexible, sustainable, and resilient, is more important than ever. Nushabad also offers lessons in self-sufficiency. The city's inhabitants knew that in a harsh, isolated environment, survival depended on their ability to sustain themselves. Nushabad was designed to be a self-contained world, with systems in place to ensure that water, air, and food were available and properly managed. The wells tapped into underground water sources, the ventilation system allowed for fresh air circulation, and the food storage chambers provided a place to store and preserve provisions. This self-sufficiency was crucial for the city's long-term survival. Today, as the world faces growing challenges related to food security, energy independence, and environmental sustainability, Nushabad's design reminds us of the value of creating systems that allow us to provide for ourselves and reduce our reliance on external sources. Whether it's through sustainable farming, renewable energy systems, or local resource management, Nushabad's self-sufficiency offers a model for how communities can thrive independently, even in difficult circumstances. Another key lesson from Nushabad is the importance of community. The city's underground design may have physically separated its inhabitants from the world above, but it didn't isolate them socially. On the contrary, the residents of Nushabad were forced to work together to maintain the city's delicate systems. Whether it was checking the ventilation system, managing the water supply, or maintaining the food stores, the people of Nushabad relied on one another for survival. This reliance on community fosters a sense of shared responsibility and solidarity, values that are essential for thriving in difficult times. In today's world, where social divisions and individualism often create barriers to cooperation, Nushabad's communal model reminds us of the strength that comes from working together toward a common goal. Whether we're tackling local issues, addressing global challenges like climate change, or navigating crises like pandemics, the lesson of community cooperation is one that cannot be overstated. Collective action is often the key to overcoming obstacles that no one person or entity can solve alone. In addition to community, Nushabad teaches us the importance of preparation. The city was built not as a temporary shelter, but as a long-term solution to the challenges posed by the desert and potential invasions. The people of Nushabad didn't just plan for short-term survival, they envisioned a future where the city would continue to function for generations. They designed a city that could withstand not only the dangers of the environment, but also external threats, using hidden defensive structures and secure passageways to protect themselves from invaders. This long-term planning and foresight are crucial lessons for today's world, where the challenges we face are often not immediate but cumulative. Climate change, resource depletion, and the erosion of ecosystems require us to think beyond the present moment and plan for a sustainable, resilient future. Perhaps one of the most profound lessons Nushabad offers is the importance of resilience. The city, carved into the earth, has withstood the passage of centuries. It survived invasions, natural disasters, and the slow erosion of time, hidden beneath the desert, only to be rediscovered in the modern era. This resilience is not just a result of the city's design, but also of the mindset of its builders. They understood that survival required not just physical shelter, but the ability to endure whatever challenges came their way. They faced an unforgiving environment, but rather than retreating or giving in to despair, they found a way to adapt, to build, and to continue. In a world that is increasingly unpredictable, resilience is more important than ever. Nushabad's endurance is a reminder that, no matter how difficult the circumstances, human creativity and determination can overcome even the most extreme challenges. The technological innovation behind Nushabad is another key lesson for the modern world. While the people of Nushabad didn't have the advanced tools or materials available to us today, their ability to engineer such a complex underground city with limited resources is nothing short of remarkable. The ventilation system, the water storage techniques, the defensive structures, all of these were solutions designed with the technology and knowledge available at the time. In today's world, where technological innovation is often equated with the latest digital advancements or high-tech machinery, Nushabad shows us that innovation doesn't have to come from the most cutting-edge tools. It can come from the ability to think creatively and use available resources in new and unexpected ways. The simplicity and effectiveness of the city's design serve as a powerful reminder that innovation often comes from necessity, and sometimes the most enduring solutions are the ones that are born out of practical, resourceful thinking. Finally, Nushabad reminds us of the value of community heritage and preservation. While Nushabad was hidden away for centuries, its rediscovery speaks to the importance of understanding and preserving our history. The city is not just a physical structure. It is a repository of knowledge, culture, and resilience that provides valuable insights into how past societies adapted to their environments and overcame challenges. In our increasingly fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the lessons of the past. But Nushabad stands as a powerful reminder that history is not just a collection of stories, it is a source of wisdom that can inform our present and shape our future. Preserving historical sites, understanding ancient technologies, and learning from the past are critical to navigating the challenges we face today. In the end, the lessons from Nushabad are not just about survival. They're about thriving in the face of adversity, about building a future that is resilient, sustainable, and community-centered. The people who built Nushabad faced a harsh, unpredictable world, and yet they created a city that not only survived but endured. The lessons they left behind are ones that we can all learn from as we face our own challenges, both as individuals and as a global community. Nushabad is more than just an underground city. It is a testament to human creativity, resilience, and the unyielding drive to build a better, more sustainable future. The story of Nushabad is far from over. Though the city was buried beneath the Iranian desert for centuries, hidden from the world and largely forgotten, its rediscovery has sparked a new chapter in its long history, a chapter dedicated to the preservation of the past and the lessons it offers for the future. The enduring legacy of Nushabad lies not just in the intricate design and clever engineering that allowed it to survive the unforgiving desert environment, but in the way it continues to inspire modern-day efforts to understand and preserve our shared history. As we look at Nushabad's legacy today, it is clear that the preservation of this underground city is not merely about maintaining a relic of the past. It is about honouring the ingenuity, resourcefulness and resilience of the people who built it, and ensuring that their story lives on for generations to come. The preservation of Nushabad is no small task. The city's underground location, its age, and the harsh desert environment present significant challenges to modern conservation efforts. the very elements that allowed Nushabad to remain hidden for so long. The desert's shifting sands, the dry air and the coolness of the earth also pose threats to the stability of the city's structure. Without the right interventions, erosion, moisture and human activity could gradually wear away at the walls and tunnels that make up the city. As a result, preserving Nushabad is a delicate balancing act, ensuring that the city remains accessible to those who wish to learn from it, while safeguarding its integrity for the future. Modern technology plays a pivotal role in the preservation of Nushabad. Ground-penetrating radar, for example, has been instrumental in mapping the underground city, providing researchers with detailed images of the city's layout and architecture, without causing damage to the site. These high-tech tools allow for a non-invasive approach to exploration, ensuring that the city can be studied and understood without risking harm to its delicate structures. The use of these technologies is also vital for monitoring the stability of the city over time. Sensors and other monitoring devices can track any shifts or changes in the environment, alerting conservators to potential problems before they become critical. Despite the importance of modern technology, the preservation of Nushabad also relies heavily on traditional methods of conservation, including careful excavation, restoration, and maintenance. Each part of the city must be approached with the utmost care, with conservators working closely with archaeologists, historians, and local experts to ensure that every step is taken to maintain the city's historical accuracy and authenticity. The goal is not just to preserve the physical structure of Nushabad, but to protect its historical context, its cultural significance, its engineering marvels, and the legacy of the people who once lived there. The preservation of Nushabad is about ensuring that future generations can experience it as it was meant to be experienced. A vibrant, self-sustaining underground city, a living testament to human ingenuity in the face of adversity. The preservation of Nushabad also involves the local community. The people who live in the surrounding area, with their deep knowledge of the land and its history, are key partners in the effort to protect and maintain the site. Their connection to the land and to the past makes them invaluable in understanding the cultural and historical significance of Nushabad. By involving the local community in the preservation process, not only is the knowledge of Nushabad's history kept alive, but the community also gains a sense of ownership and pride in the site. This shared responsibility for the preservation of Nushabad helps ensure that the city's legacy will be safeguarded for future generations. In a broader sense, Nushabad's legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving our collective history. In today's rapidly changing world, where technological advancements and urbanization often push the past to the margins, it can be easy to forget the value of ancient structures, cities, and cultures. Yet, Nushabad's survival and preservation underscore the importance of looking back to understand how we got here and how we can build a better future. By preserving historical sites like Nushabad, we are not just safeguarding bricks and mortar, we are preserving the stories, innovations, and lessons that shaped our world. The preservation of Nushabad also serves as an inspiration to modern-day architects, engineers, and urban planners. The city's design was an extraordinary feat of engineering, especially considering the limited resources and technology available to its builders. The ingenious use of ventilation shafts to bring in fresh air, the careful design of water systems to ensure a reliable supply in the desert, and the hidden defensive features that kept the city secure from invaders all serve as valuable lessons in sustainability, resilience, and adaptive design. Nushabad stands as a model of how cities can be built with foresight, utilizing the natural environment in innovative ways to create structures that are both functional and durable. As the world grapples with modern challenges, climate change, resource depletion, and urbanization, the principles that guided the creation of Nushabad offer important insights into how we can build resilient cities that can endure the test of time. Perhaps one of the most significant aspects of Nushabad's legacy is the way it connects us to our shared human history. The city is a reminder that despite the vast distances of time and space that separate us from the people who once lived there, we are all part of the same human story. The people of Nushabad, living in the depths of the earth, were no different from us in their desire for safety, comfort and community. They faced challenges just as we do today, and they found solutions using the resources available to them to build a city that would support life for generations. Their ingenuity and resilience continue to inspire us, showing us that no matter how difficult the circumstances, we can adapt, innovate, and create. As the preservation efforts continue, Nushabad's legacy will endure, offering future generations a glimpse into a world that has long been forgotten. The underground city will not only continue to inform our understanding of ancient engineering and urban planning, but will also serve as a symbol of the enduring human spirit. Nushabad's story is far from over. It is a living testament to the creativity, resourcefulness, and determination of the people who built it, and it remains a source of inspiration for all those who seek to learn from the past to build a better future. In the end, the preservation of Nushabad is not just about maintaining a historical site, it is about honouring the past, understanding the present, and ensuring that the lessons of resilience, adaptability and community continue to guide us in the years to come. The legacy of Nushabad is a legacy of survival, ingenuity and hope, a legacy that will continue to resonate with us as we face the challenges of the modern world. As we look to the future of Nushabad, it's clear that the underground city's legacy holds not just historical value, but relevance for the challenges and innovations of the modern world. Buried beneath the Iranian desert, Nushabad has already withstood centuries of change, offering an extraordinary snapshot of human resilience, ingenuity and survival. Now, as it has been rediscovered and is being studied and preserved, the question remains, what does the future hold for this remarkable city? How will it continue to inspire, inform and serve as a reminder of humanity's ability to adapt to the harshest of conditions? The future of Nushabad will undoubtedly be shaped by the continued efforts of archaeologists, historians and conservationists. Its preservation is a delicate and ongoing process, requiring a balance between public access, educational opportunities, and the safeguarding of the city's physical integrity. As a historical site, Nushabad must be carefully protected from the effects of modern human activity, including tourism, environmental degradation, and the natural forces that could erode its structure. The desert's shifting sands, intense heat, and occasional rains are all factors that pose a risk to the city's long-term survival. Ensuring that these factors are monitored and mitigated through modern conservation techniques will be essential to the city's continued existence. Given the advances in archaeological methods, the use of non-invasive technologies like ground-penetrating radar, 3D mapping and drones will likely play a significant role in the future exploration and study of Nushabad. These technologies allow for more detailed, accurate documentation of the city without causing damage to its structures. By creating digital models and conducting virtual tours, experts can study every nook and cranny of the city in unprecedented detail while ensuring its physical preservation. This digital record can also serve as a vital tool for future generations, offering them the opportunity to explore and understand Nushabad from the safety and comfort of modern technology, while preserving the site for those who will come after them. Nushabad's future also holds great potential for education and cultural exchange. As the site continues to draw attention from archaeologists, engineers and historians, it will undoubtedly become a significant resource for those interested in the ancient practices of urban planning, water management, and survival in extreme environments. The city's clever use of ventilation, its innovative water storage systems, and its intricate network of tunnels and defensive structures are all lessons in sustainability, resourcefulness, and adaptability. In a world increasingly concerned with climate change, urbanization, and the challenges of creating sustainable cities, Nushabad's solutions to these age-old problems could inspire modern urban planning and design. By studying the ancient techniques used to build and sustain life underground, we might find new ways to rethink how we live in the face of growing environmental pressures. In addition to its technical lessons, Nushabad's future could also serve as a powerful symbol of community and resilience. The people who built the underground city did so not only for physical survival, but with the understanding that long-term survival depends on strong social bonds, shared responsibilities, and cooperation. In an increasingly fragmented and divided world, Nushabad offers a glimpse into the strength of human solidarity when faced with adversity. The city's residents, living in isolation, had to depend on each other to create and maintain a sustainable environment. This emphasis on community building and mutual support is as relevant today as it was centuries ago, and Nushabad could become a symbol of how, even in the most difficult circumstances, people can come together to build something that endures. Looking toward the future, Nushabad could also play a role in cultural tourism, provided that the site is carefully managed and preserved. Tourism, when done responsibly, has the potential to bring attention to historical sites, provide funding for their conservation, and give people the opportunity to experience history firsthand. Nushabad, with its captivating story and architectural marvels, could become an educational destination, drawing visitors from around the world who are eager to learn about ancient methods of urban survival and the challenges faced by the city's builders. However, this type of tourism must be carefully regulated to ensure that the site is not damaged or overrun by crowds. Sustainable tourism practices, such as limiting visitor access to certain areas and ensuring that tour groups are small, would be essential in maintaining the integrity of Nushabad's structure. Moreover, Nushabad's rediscovery might spark wider interest in other underground cities and forgotten ancient structures. As researchers and archaeologists explore more hidden sites across the globe, Nushabad's legacy could encourage further exploration of the ways humans have adapted to extreme environments. Many other ancient societies, from the subterranean dwellings of Cappadocia in Turkey to the underground temples of Egypt, offer similar stories of resilience and survival. Nushabad could become a gateway to exploring these other remarkable underground sites, highlighting the creative ways that ancient civilizations responded to their surroundings and challenges. In the future, Nushabad may also serve as a resource for contemporary urban planning and sustainability efforts. Its design, focused on self-sufficiency, efficiency and resilience, offers lessons for modern cities that are grappling with issues like overpopulation, climate change, and dwindling resources. As cities across the world struggle with rapid urbanization and the need for sustainable development, Nushabad's underground systems offer a glimpse of what might be possible in a world increasingly concerned with environmental sustainability. The city's careful management of water, its ingenious ventilation system, and its focus on creating a secure, sustainable community could offer valuable insights into how we can build cities that are less reliant on external resources and more attuned to the natural environment. At a deeper level, Nushabad's future could be about preserving the stories of those who built it. The people who created this underground sanctuary did so with the knowledge that survival was not just about protecting the body. It was about creating a space where human life could continue, where families could live, work, and thrive in peace. Their stories, their ingenuity, and their determination to survive are part of what makes Nushabad so remarkable. The preservation of the city is not just about maintaining stone walls or ventilation shafts, it's about honouring the people who, through their craftsmanship, foresight and resilience, created something that continues to inspire us today. Their legacy reminds us of what humans are capable of when faced with hardship, and it calls us to be as inventive, as adaptive, and as communal as they were. Ultimately, the future of Nushabad will be defined by the care we take to preserve it, the lessons we continue to learn from it, and the way it inspires future generations to confront their own challenges with creativity, resilience, and community. Nushabad's endurance, its survival beneath the desert for centuries, is a testament to the resourcefulness of its builders, and it holds valuable lessons for us all. As we look to the future, Nushabad stands as a reminder that, even in the most extreme environments, human ingenuity and solidarity can create a lasting legacy. a legacy that will continue to endure long into the future. In the end, the story of Nushabad is not merely about survival in a literal sense. It is about the timeless dance of human resilience, ingenuity, and the instinct to adapt in the face of adversity. The city, buried beneath the Iranian desert for centuries, stands as a monumental testament to the ability of human beings to forge a life even in the most challenging and unforgiving of environments. The people who built Nushabad, hidden deep within the earth, were not simply responding to immediate dangers, they were shaping their future, creating a place that could withstand the tests of time and the unforgiving nature of the world above. In doing so, they embodied the essence of survival, not just as a biological need, but as a dynamic, ongoing process, a dance that continues through generations, where the steps of each era build upon the last. The city's survival is a reflection of the profound relationship between humans and the environments they inhabit. Nushabad was not simply a refuge. It was a living, breathing city designed to interact with its surroundings, to use the Earth's resources in ways that allowed life to flourish beneath the surface. The people of Nushabad did not isolate themselves from the forces of nature. They worked with them, drawing from the very earth they sought to protect themselves from. The ventilation shafts, the water storage systems, the hidden defensive structures, all of these were not merely practical solutions to immediate problems. They were expressions of a deeper understanding of how life could persist through adaptation, cooperation, and careful balance. The timelessness of Nushabad is not just in its physical structure, but in the principles it embodies. The city's design, built with foresight, sustainability, and resilience in mind, speaks to a timeless human trait, the desire to endure. The people of Nushabad, carving their lives into the earth, were not only concerned with surviving in the moment, they were thinking of the future. They were crafting something that would not only last their lifetimes, but would continue long after they were gone. In this, Nushabad is a reflection of our broader human impulse, to build, to create, to shape a future that will stand the test of time. It is this impulse that has led to the creation of civilizations, the building of cities, and the ongoing dance of survival that is the hallmark of human history. The rhythm of survival is a dance that never stops. For those living in Nushabad, each day was marked by the steady pulse of work, checking the ventilation, maintaining the water systems, ensuring the safety of the city, and supporting one another through shared responsibilities. It was a community united not just by the need to survive, but by the understanding that survival is a collective effort. This dance of survival was not one of isolation, but of interdependence, each individual contributing to the well-being of the group, ensuring that the city remained functional and resilient in the face of whatever challenges arose. But survival in Nushabad was not solely about the practical aspects of daily life. It was also about maintaining a sense of meaning, of purpose, of connection. The people of Nushabad understood that survival requires more than food, water, and shelter. It requires a connection to others, to the environment, and to a sense of continuity. Their underground city, despite its physical isolation, was designed to create and preserve these connections. The communal spaces, the shared rituals, the reliance on one another to maintain the city, these were the elements that transformed Nushabad from a mere refuge into a thriving, sustainable community. The dance of survival, in this sense, was not just about enduring the harshness of the desert. It was about building a life that could be sustained over time, through cooperation, resilience, and a deep understanding of the needs of both the individual and the community. This timeless dance of survival is not confined to Nushabad alone. It is a part of the broader human experience. Throughout history, humanity has faced countless challenges: wars, famines, plagues, environmental disasters, and yet, time and again, we have found ways to adapt, to innovate, and to endure. Nushabad, with its underground chambers, ventilation systems, and communal life, is a powerful reminder that survival is not a passive act. It is an active, creative process. It requires imagination, collaboration, and a deep connection to the world around us. The dance of survival, as embodied in Nushabad, is one that continues to play out across the globe, in every corner of the world where people face adversity and find ways to overcome it. In our own time, as we confront challenges such as climate change, resource depletion, and the pressures of overpopulation, the lessons of Nushabad offer important insights. The city's design, with its focus on sustainability, self-sufficiency, and resilience, provides a blueprint for how we might adapt to the challenges of the modern world. Just as the people of Nushabad built their city to last for generations, we too must think beyond the immediate present and consider how our actions today will affect future generations. The timeless dance of survival is one that must be danced with care and foresight, because the steps we take now will determine the rhythm of life for those who come after us. As we reflect on the legacy of Nushabad, it becomes clear that its true significance lies not just in its survival, but in the values it represents. The city is a symbol of human ingenuity, of the ability to adapt and persevere in the face of adversity. It is a reminder that, no matter how harsh the conditions, human beings have the capacity to create solutions that allow life to thrive. The timeless dance of survival that Nushabad embodies is one that is always in motion, a dance of resilience, creativity, and hope. It is a dance that has been played for centuries and will continue to be danced for generations to come, as long as humanity remains committed to the pursuit of survival, not just as a means of existing, but as a means of thriving. In the end, Nushabad is more than just a city. It is a living testament to the enduring spirit of human survival, a city that continues to inspire and teach us how to live, to adapt, and to persevere. The timeless dance of survival is one that will never cease, as long as we remember the lessons of the past, honour the ingenuity of those who came before us, and keep moving forward with the same resilience, creativity, and hope that made Nushabad possible.